This show.
Welcome, Wolfpack. This is how we do Warzone Wednesday with your host, Drew. The 11th of December, 2024. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being with me. Do appreciate it. Wow, what a week it's been, eh? It's all been happening. So thank you to everyone who joined us last week for the number 2 of Warzone Wednesday. So yesterday went through a whole bunch. The week before that, I gave you the overview of what tonight's show was all about.
Critical alert.
It's all about getting ready.
This is not a test.
Because it certainly is not a test. Indeed. Thank you, Tia. It's kicking off as usual. We got UAVs, we got UAPs, we got drones flipping about everywhere, and everyone's reporting drone sightings. And is it a UFO? Is it military tech? We don't know. Do vote live in the poll tonight. We've got it rocking. You should see it live in the chat if you're with us live. This is how it's looking over on Discord server. This is the notification. I always put announcements out on Discord, so those that are joined would have got a notification. YouTube doesn't always like sending them out. So on the main hangout here as well, which is where you land when you join. Thank you to our most recentest Poosankle joiner. So this is the live poll we've got rocking tonight for you. What do you believe the recent drone/UAP sightings really are? What do you believe the recent drone/UAP sightings really are? Is it USA military drones, foreign enemy drones, or aliens/extraterrestrial? They're your 3 choices. Do make your choice live in the chat tonight. If you're not with us live, I'll be calling the results later in the show, so you better see what the results were and see how people are feeling about it tonight as we get through. We got an awful lot to get through. It's a full-on prepping for SHTF by Secret Prepper. It's not the complete version that I would usually do as the SHTF survival scenario, but we are getting there. I just didn't get time basically because it's been an absolute war zone. So this is what we're going to be going through tonight. Drone warfare is what we're going to be specializing on tonight. Last week we went through all of the different types of warfare with conventional, 4th dimensional and 5th dimensional warfare. So we're going to continue on from there tonight. And as I said before, we're going to go through each week. We'll be taking a different type of warfare tactic and we'll be digging into it, what we can expect, what it will look like, and more importantly, how are we going to prepare for such things? Because there's no point being survivalists and preppers if we're not all about the solutions as well as identifying the problems. So we're going to be covering it all tonight. We're also going to get into a quick global threat analysis so we can see what's been going on in the world in line with what we're talking about today. Like I say, with the UAVs and UAPs. So lots of unidentified craft, drones buzzing around the skies in New Jersey, places like that. Tends to be Western cities that are seeing this, which already tells me certain things. But before we go any further, I have to say a big thank you to... quickly. I just got to get the chat message rocking. So thank you very much. For those that haven't realised, and for those that joined me on the 1,000 subscriber, was... just a few days ago, and because I've already had quite a lot of watch hours because of shows like these that I've done, the SHTF Scenarios, they're very much evergreen content. You should check out my Grid Down Scenario 1 podcast. I've also made this a podcast along with the Security and Defences podcast you'll see on my channel, and also the Grid Down Scenario podcast. Absolute unmissable ones, so make sure you do dial into that. So I'm just setting up the live chat for you. Do apologise. I knew there was something I was missing. Thank you so very much to Magic Hand, Mr. Sigma Prepper, my first disc super chat in the whole wide world. Yes, that's right. As well as passing the 1,000 subscriber mark just a few days ago. We are also now in a very great position because we have also at the same time, pretty much at the same time, monetization was turned on this channel. So you will see a lovely looking super chat button and things like that. So this is how the channel's looking. Like I say, we had if we go on the live here, you'll see we had the 1,000 subscriber show. Thank you to everyone who joined me for that. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Such a great bunch. And of course tonight we've got the Warzone Wednesday. So we've had loads going on. And thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel to make it happen. Thank you to Magic Hand again for being the first ever super chat on this channel. Followed closely behind Sandy, spreading the love. Thank you so much, my darling, again. Thank you for being one of our wonderful moderators and a great friend of mine as well. John C, already a VIP Patreon member. Check him out. There in the super chats as well. What a superstar. 5 foldable sheets. You heard it, 5 foldable sheets. I don't think we're going to get rollable sheets tonight, but not that there's any expectation at all, of course. The benefit of monetization with this channel is that really without it, YouTube has no reason to put this channel out to anyone ever, which it never has done. So it's been a long struggle. Thank you so much, Robert McNamara. Robert McNamara, he's been following me for about 4 years, since 2020, on other channels before this one, so he knows the score. Thank you, Robert. Love to you, my man. Love to Maya and the family. And yeah, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to Chaos is with us as well. Daily Survival, the moderator of all moderator, Chief of Security in the house, making sure it's all flowing, all nice and friendly, just like we do here on the Secret Prepper channel. Mr. T's with us as well. Great to see you, my man. Teldy Boy as well. The Green Militia. Hi all. Nice place, good people. Thank you. Thank you. Lone Wolf Prepper's with us as well. If there is aliens, and we should offer up Starmer as a sacrifice. I'll tell you what, and if they come in with anal probes, we need it unlubed for him. Look at Hawkins in the house with rollable sheets. Oh, sorry, foldable sheets. Glad you got to 1K. Thank you so very much, Hawkins. I really appreciate that, man. I've got the notifications set up, so as we're scrolling through and as we're going through our slides tonight for the drone warfare tactics, which is what we're talking about, as and when super chats or things come up, then a cool, you know, we'll be able to acknowledge people and give them the flex that they deserve. Asher in the house as well with us. Magic Hand, we've got an ad. That's confirmed. We've had an ad. Okay, it's completely and utterly confirmed now. We are totally monetized. Thank you, YouTube. I should thank YouTube for not booting me off here when it's been wanting to since I got on it on this channel. So thank you, YouTube, for being, you know, nice so far. So let's hope this is a start of a beautiful relationship, YouTube and Google. I love you both. I've been working with Google since 1999. I was in a strategic partnership with Google through a corporate business, one of the first ever partnerships done with Google as well, in about 2009. So I'm just trying to creep and make sure it gives me special treatments. Thank you to everyone giving respect with gang signs and the letter K, to anyone giving these super chats and able to keep the lights on tonight. Look at Della here with us as well, and Pat Riot, great to see you. Looks like Discord fixed for me. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Daddy's Father, for getting rocking, and Purple Flurples in the house. We have got it all going on. So without any further ado, I think we need to get right into it, because we need to go through so much, right? We need to just catch up. We're going to catch up with the SHTF Intel Global Threat Analysis, catch up with a few reports, straight into the drone warfare show for tonight with the Warzone Wednesday. Don't forget, we do prefer to wear onesies or some sort of sleeping attire, because it's all about being as comfy as you can while we're talking about very uncomfortable topics. So, Sapper Prepper UK, our most recentest VIP patron supporter. I look forward to seeing you in the after party tonight over on the Discord server. Yep, that's right. Discord server, we're going to be having it over on the after party after this show tonight. So, do check in for that. But without any further ado, I think we need to do a global threat analysis. It's the 11th of December. Let's do it. Check out what's going on around the world. Buckle up, Wolfpack. So thank you everyone for joining me for the Global Threat Analysis for the 11th of December 2024 with your host Drew. Deep breaths, everybody, deep breaths. Love, peace and progress to the pack. Thank you everyone for being with me. Let's fly through this then. Let's keep it great to see you, Ian, and Wolf Sheed, Blaze Miss as well. Thank you for joining us. Am I on block? Don't know. I can see you everywhere. So that probably means no. Oh dear. So, Wolf said, going to be partying like it's 1999. Do you know, I was with my sister and Mrs. Sigma Prepper in 1999 in London, and it was an absolute nightmare. It was so ram-packed with people, and there was a vibe in the air that something was going to kick off any minute, right? It was bad news. Right in the centre of London, we got stuck around the London Eye, the wheel, and yeah, there was just a real weird tension in the air. People got crammed into a tube station, couldn't get out. Girls screaming and stuff. It was bad news. So yeah, maybe I'm just too old for that now. Right, so we're going to just blast through a few things. Like I say, we're not going to labour too many points, but we need to just catch up with the headlines, see what's going on. It's all about Syria at the moment, and of course it's not a coincidence, because I just feel like the whole Syria thing is just the same as the Georgia thing, which is just the same as the South Korea thing. It's all about destabilisation at the moment. It's happening everywhere, and this is all part of the warfare tactics, if you don't mind me saying. Because if you notice, they are all the countries that are the swing, like you get the swing states when it comes to elections and stuff. It's like the swing countries when it comes to World War III in terms of the allies versus the, Georgia's important because they can influence that when it comes to other countries joining NATO and things, if they can pull it away from Russia, which is why they've got protests going on now, just like they had in Ukraine. You've got things like the South Korea, got disruptions going on there, because it's important that the West maintains a leader in South Korea that's very, very unfriendly to North Korea, to allow us to do what we need to do to control North Korea, because that's also an ally of Russia. And then you have obviously Syria, which, as we all know, has been a great ally of Russia and vice versa over the years. And so by shoehorning Syria away from Russia, I don't know if it's just me, but let me know if you see some dots being connected there, right? So all I'm saying is that this is pre-preparation of the pre-escalation period, right? So there's certain things that you need to pre-prepare for, so you have to start to prepare for. So part of that start is the destabilization of the linchpin governments that are going to get in our way as the West against Russia, right? And so once you've done the destabilization, then you can co-opt and corrupt and coerce those governments to go your way, to allow you to put a base there, to allow you to pass your military equipment through there. Do you know what I mean? You've got a lot of logistics issues to think about as well, coming in and out of certain areas if you're projecting and extrapolating forward what you're going to need and where you're going to need it and when you're going to need it by. And so there's a lot of other things that are being done under the guise of certain things, just to allow the pre-preparation, right, of positioning of equipment, because it's a bit blatant, right? I mean, there's countries have got satellites up there all the time looking at where your stuff is, right? We talk a bit more about that as we get into the show, particularly because we're talking about drone warfare tactics tonight. So I wanted to just try and keep it around that, and obviously we're just flicking through the headlines, but there's nothing too, major. We'll check out the watchers in terms of weather events and things. We've got this Malibu wildfire threatening California and things. We got public urge to avoid Malibu at all costs as Franklin fire threatens thousands in California. We've got some great Wolfpack friends in California. Connie laughs me, yeah, Danger Bob, people like that. So look at the state of that, man. In my Ultimate Prepping Guide by Sigma Prepper, a book that'll be coming out soon, there's an entire chapter on surviving natural disasters, broken into 12 natural disasters, and wildfires is one of them. Devastating. You get such little time to act as well when it happens. Looks like we might be able to have some vid, just to get an idea of what it's looking like over there. Scary stuff, and of course it's not just the fire, it's the smoke, and it's cutting off supply chains, it's cutting off emergency services and exit routes, property damage, and so many things. And of course we saw that recently, was it Miami? Let's hope as many people have got blue roofs as possible. So we had a very bright fireball, sonic boom over Indiana, US. So more alien spacecraft coming into land. It's a pretty good one, look. It's not looking like anything's touched the ground. Becoming a meteorite. Don't forget, it becomes a meteorite. when it hits the ground. I think up until that point, it's just a meteor. The other thing as well, has been quite a lot of weather stuff going on in the UK. I did report about it last week, but obviously it's been a week since then. But I just wanted to let you know, because this will be something we're talking about soon when we come to green energy and solar and stuff. But check it out, man. This is a solar farm in the UK. Anglesey significantly damaged by Storm Dara. Now, this is something I talked about 2 years ago. I think it was on this channel. It might have been my other one. But it was talking about, there was a hailstorm in America. And this hailstorm took out an entire solar panels to the point where an entire city went dark, right? And it was a similar situation here. The Porthwen Solar Farm in the North Anglesey is owned by EDF Renewables and can create 49 megawatts to power 9,500 households. Construction of the farm began in early 2022, so it was super new, right? So it just come online. Further stated repair work and replacement damaged panels are expected to last into early 2025. So it's winter time, right? Coming into a time where people are using more and more energy, and look at all the energy that we now don't get, and it's not, you can't just turn these things back on again, right? This is and check it out, it's not just solar panels, we're talking proper wind turbines as well, which, as it says in this report, I won't bore you with it, but as it says in this report, the damage gets to the point where you're better off just ripping it out and starting again. Right? How is this a solution? How is this a solution? I've got a
the damage caused by one storm.
This is the some of the bits and pieces that were captured. This one's coming in from NWSSX. Thank you for this. This is just showing some of the damage from some aerial view, just to give you perspective of it, sort of scale we're talking about, right? I mean, this is ludicrous. So yeah, this is just not the solution, clearly. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know what you think live in the chat. But, you know, this is something as well that makes it extremely difficult as a target. Talking about, obviously, today with Warzone Wednesday in our onesies or or comfy attire, talking about uncomfy topics. So, of course, we like to look at things through the lens and through the perspective of a World War III scenario. Things like solar farms do leave us somewhat vulnerable. I mean, if you have got epic levels of destruction going on, and you're going to have so much debris in the air and smoke in the air that's going to be dimming the sun as well, therefore even less yield on the solar panels, let alone potential damage. And to be honest, it wouldn't take a massive drone, military drone really, to get over here and drop some, you know, pretty well tuned munitions that are specifically designed to take out solar panels, right? So let's skip through and check out the earthquakes then, because it was going crazy on the west coast the other day, but looks like it's calmed down a bit. We do have a little flurry here still off the west coast, look, but 38 earthquakes worldwide on a map, which is about average, usually about 30 to 35. In terms of the solar flares and the sun, we'll check out the solar disk here, but you can see we have had some activity, some M6.7, M2.8 and M6.4 solar flares coming from 3 different regions. So we'll check out the sunspot summary. We can see that there's no magnetic mixing on there now. These are the sunspots as they look on the solar disk. Earth facing would be around about the 3917 if it was down about the 3916 latitude. So there's only this one left on the solar disk now, 3917 with the M3.2 solar flare that popped off. So it's not looking like we've got too much to worry about, and it's all looking green up there. We've got an R2, moderate, nothing major, nothing on the Enlil spiral either. And of course down here we had the numbers coming in from November, which was 152 sunspots, predicted value 111. You can still, it's still riding way out of where's normal. Similar thing with the radio flux progression here on a monthly basis based on solar sunspots for solar cycle 25. Things are heating up. We are overdue a Carrington level event, yeah. So we do keep our eye on the sun, because a grid down scenario as a result of the solar storms taking out power grids is not something you recover from quickly, and because society is so dependent on technology, it's just not a good look. For those who want to know any more, check out the playlist I have on the podcast. You'll see a grid down scenario there. It takes you through day by day what it would look like up from day one up until the purge, basically, as to what hits the fan and what the cascade of things that go wrong is. So, let's get out of here then and jump back to the main show tonight, which is obviously the Warzone Wednesdays. And tonight we're talking about drone tactics and drone warfare tactics. And we'll check out some videos and things as well before we get into it. So thank you. Don't go anywhere. But thank you for joining me for the global threat analysis. And please hit the like button if you haven't done already. Unbuckle your seats. Right. Now we can get on with it. Now we know we can be at ease. At ease, everyone. There's nothing to fear. Nothing to panic. Nothing's going to hit us. We're okay, at least for the next hour or so. Love, peace, and progress to the pack. Thank you, everyone. Well, hey, check out Robert McNamara with the super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you, Robert. Really pleased to have got this channel monetized. I did set my target to be monetized by the end of 2024, going into 2025, and here we are. Just as the world's going to end in 2025, we finally get monetized, and after 3 years of running on fumes, this channel owes me about this channel owes me about £320,000 so far. So let's see if we can break even at some point in the next 25 years. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. At ease or a tease? Both. Being at ease is a tease. Red November. BS is an option in the poll. Well, I suppose, yeah. But there you go. You see, BS would come under the US military drones, right? So for those that are joining us, we do have a live chat rocking tonight. So for those that are watching afterwards, this is how it's looking. I do post in the live main hangout, the Discord, Sigma Prepper Discord server. Go and check it out. It's free to join. Absolute knowledge base. So what do you believe the recent drone/UAP sightings really are? Do you think it's US military drones? Do you think it is foreign enemy drones? Or do you think it's aliens or extraterrestrials? Now, if you think it's just, you know, a bit of like laying the groundwork for things like Project Bluebeam or something like that, or if you think it's like, you know, American military or some agency doing it for the purposes of getting stories going for whatever reason in the mainstream media, that would also just come under USA military drones, right? So let us know what you think live in the chat tonight. We've got that poll running so we can get an idea. We'll be calling the results of that later in the day, later in the show tonight. 52 votes so far, so thank you very much. Keep it going. We all need some sunshine in our lives. We certainly do. Most of the sunshine tonight is going to be coming from the after party we'll be doing on the Discord server. So the after party here, you'll see it. Usually it's only for the Patreon VIP and the YouTube members. But up until Christmas, we're doing after party for even those in the cheap seats. That's how we're doing for the festive season. And I've just thought, this festive season, before we do absolutely anything, what we need to do is it is now officially Christmas. So before we get into our vids and then the warfare, what we need to do quickly, sorry, 5 seconds. This one is we need sorry, I can't find the right but now I've seen it. This should have been done before we went live because it's now kind of Christmas. Let us know live in the chat when you put your Christmas decorations up. Yeah? Because I think it's time for Christmas decorations. There we go. Sorry, that took way longer than it should have done. It's Christmas! So, first of all, let's get into it then, because we need some sunshine in our lives. Like you said, some people around the world are getting sunshine, other people around the world aren't. I shall give you an example of what I am chatting about. So these are some of the Christmas trees in the cities around the world. This is Paris, France. We got Sydney, Australia. Oh, sorry, Sydney, Australia, look. We got New York, USA. Rome, Italy. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Berlin, Germany. And then this is basically what we got in England. Yeah. This is our tree. Now, this is a gift from Norway every year because of their efforts, or because of us helping them in the war. So, but do you know what's really disappointing is everybody's really extremely disappointed. It's the worst in the world, I think, almost. It's almost like the worst in the world for just the lights on it. They're not even straight. They're just drooped down. Some of them are missing. The tree doesn't even look full. It's just everyone's complaining about it and saying that they just feel like we're a bit of an embarrassment here in the UK, despite the tree itself being a gift from Norway. But so, oh, check it out. Thank you so much, Della. In line with Robert, let's go. So proud of you, Andy, for going live every day. Let's build this channel. Putting my DNA on the like button. Thank you, Della. I really appreciate it, my lovely. Such a wonderful. And thank you for your purchase of the Sigma Prepper merch mugs. I really appreciate it, honey. Oh. And they should be shipping out this week, so you should be looking forward to getting your goodies. Also, Paul, thank you to Paul. His ultimate hotspot offline internet system, exclusively by Sigma Prepper, should be with you now. I don't know if Paul's with us, but thank you so much for your investment of the ultimate hotspot. I hope you've managed to get testing it out and rock it already. Let's just give it a love and a like. Thank you. Noel Marie in the house. I was summoning you subconsciously earlier on, and here you are. So thank you so very much. Rue, getting on with it, and the merch mug's that big. Not all of them. This is the mega mug. These are 20 ounce, yeah? Oh, arrived and tested, says Paul C. It's great, thank. Did you see your most honourable badge on Discord, Paul? Not only have you got a Patreon VIP honourable badge, you have the most honourable badge, which is if you have anything from the ultimate range of Sigma products, like the ultimate hotspot, for example, then you get upgraded as well. So thank you so much for your support. I'm really pleased that when the grid goes down and the internet goes down, me, Paul, and a bunch of others are all going to have loads of information to be able to search through with our offline internet system. So thank you very much. Love to you all. So let's get into it, because what we're going to do with the prepping for SHTF, with our SHTF survival scenarios here on Wednesdays, which is all about a war zone, talking about how to survive World War III with a more strategic approach to preparedness. You know how I do. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first part of this, and then we're going to take a break, and then when we come back we'll be getting right into the drone warfare tactics, what we're talking about tonight. We'll have lots of information about what types of drones there are, you know, what we need to look out for and how we can prepare against it. Loads of discussions about that when we come back after the break as well. Plus, after the show altogether, we'll have the after party over on the Discord server. So this is basically what we're rocking through tonight. Warzone Wednesday, how to survive World War III. And of course, and I've made it a podcast, so if you missed the last two, then you can go and check them out after this. They should be reasonably acceptable independently, you know, like a TV series that you just butt into. So why do we need to prepare? You know, one of the things that's really a concern for us right now is the fact that unlike 100 years ago, where our ancestors knew how to raise goats and chickens and, you know, salt meat and things like this to preserve stuff, right? It's just people don't have a clue nowadays, which means when things do happen, like a World War III scenario, people are running around with their hair on fire, not got a clue, and it's going to be the majority that don't know how to support themselves rather than the minority as it was 100 years ago. So some of the things making that even worse than it already was, the self-reliance at an all-time low, and I know myself from people I talk to and even people who consider themselves prepared, when you ask them one or two questions, you and they realize that they're not actually as prepared as they were. So even the prepping community can't be relied upon, you know, in that respect. So globalized, fragile supply chain, we've seen it before with any chinks in the armor of World War III kicking off. Any global conflict can affect that, just like it did in 2020. The JIT system is a big part of that, just in time. Obviously, with infrastructure being targeted and things like this, and grids going down as a result of sabotage and other forms of attack, during conflict. You can expect the internet to go down. That means the JIT system goes down, the just-in-time. There's no storerooms anymore, don't forget. Once you buy something, beep, and it goes through the checkout, that same item is ordered from the warehouse to arrive the next day to restock the shelves with everything that was bought the day before. So there's no stock in the stock room, right? There's no like, oh, there's a week's worth of groceries out the back somewhere, right? That is it. Once it breaks down, it breaks down. And on top of that, obviously, with resources being strapped to the max and everything else, it's just not a good time, right? Higher population density, you know, we're so reliant on tech. When all that goes away, it's going to be bad news. Why learn with me? This is why. Hit pause if you care. Types of warfare tactics. So this is how we're going to break it down. I went through this last week. I went through some of the notes from my my book, The Ultimate Prepping Guide by Sigma Prepper, and there's a chapter in there, Surviving WW3, and I was just reading for some notes in regard to the types of warfare tactics. But this time, I've started to put it in a little bit more of a formal order, as I normally would do with these sorts of presentations. And so these are your three basic types of warfare tactics that we're going to break down, right? So you've got your conventional warfare tactics, fourth dimensional warfare tactics, and fifth dimensional warfare tactics. So these are the three categories. So let's break them down then. So conventional warfare tactics. Conventional warfare refers to organized, state-led military conflict involving direct engagements between armed forces. It is characterized by the use of standard weaponry, traditional battlefield strategies, and adherence to established rules of engagement. This form of warfare focuses on physical domination of territory and the destruction or surrender of opposing forces. So this is the kind of conventional warfare that we're all familiar with. Stuff like, you know, the things that the key attributes, if you like, would be, you know, they're the organized state actors. So therefore, you know, is nation to nation rather than sort of so much faction to faction, sort of, or formal coalitions with professional armed forces. You know, like things with the Russian, why can't I think of the name of it, force, mercenary forces, yeah. Standard weaponry utilizes firearms, tanks, artillery, ships, aircraft and missiles, the usual kind of stuff. Kinetic warfare is another way of describing it. And the rules of engagement are very much regulated. Of course, it all comes under human rights conventions and stuff like the international agreements, the Geneva Conventions and stuff, right? So you have to be following just old-fashioned war, which is still relevant, but, you know. So you're talking things like land warfare, naval warfare, aerial warfare, nuclear warfare, bio and chemical warfare, siege warfare, and trench warfare. Now, when we ran a poll a few weeks ago, out of a few options, bio and chemical was one of the things that people worried about the most. Let us know live in the chat, out of this list, you'd be most worried about in the conventional warfare tactics. So fourth dimensional then, let's talk about that, because that's the sort of thing that isn't necessarily more recent, but obviously as technologies come on, there's more versions of it, and that's technology and strategy as well as just equipment. So fourth dimensional warfare refers to unconventional and asymmetric tactics designed to disrupt, outmaneuver, or weaken traditional military forces. It often involves smaller or less equipped forces using innovative strategies, guerrilla tactics like we saw in Iraq and things, right? And irregular methods to exploit the vulnerabilities of a larger, more organized opponent. This type of warfare operates within the physical world but diverges from traditional warfare by relying on unpredictability, adaptability, and unorthodox strategies, right? So we have seen this with things like Al-Qaeda and stuff like that, ISIS and stuff. They were using very much fourth dimensional warfare tactics, and in some cases some of our elite forces, let's just say, both American and British, were finding themselves having to conduct themselves using similar fourth dimensional warfare tactics just to keep up. Yeah. So some of the key points and key attributes of fourth dimensional warfare is unconventional tactics. So it relies on irregular methods like sabotage, ambushes, and hit and run attacks. So think things like the pipeline, the Russian pipeline, right? Stuff like that. Things like dams being taken out is another one, but in a way that's not overt, so you wouldn't know who did it. Who done it is a big part. I should have just had a one of the key attributes is just who done it, right? It's part of it. So asymmetry in power. Smaller forces face off against larger, more powerful adversaries. So again, like I mentioned, things like, you know, ISIS, who are a small force relatively, and putting a fight up against American forces. Focus on weaknesses. So targets vulnerabilities such as supply chains, public opinion, or infrastructure. Again, we've seen that with things like oil pipelines being attacked and sabotaged, and oil wells being damaged and things on exit and other stuff. These are all types of warfare tactics that would be considered fourth dimensional. So again, to sort of summarize the sort of things that will come under this, and don't forget, each one of these, from the conventional and the fourth dimensional, we're going to be looking at breaking each one of these down one by one over the weeks, right? So, and every one of them, this is a big topic. We need to be figuring out what each of these is and how we protect against it, how we prepare for it, and how we survive it, right? Everything's survivable. Given the right skill set and the right budget, everything's survivable, right? So let's just read through, sorry, for those that are on smartphones and can't see it. So guerrilla warfare, asymmetric warfare, like we just looked at, resource warfare, again, like the oil thing, cutting off supply chains for food and grain, right? Terrorism, like I mentioned, hybrid warfare, so combinations of stuff. Weather warfare, we saw that in things like Vietnam and the Congo, Viet Cong with the, whatever it was, Project Popeye, I can't remember, but where they just used silver nitrate and cloud seeded and stuff, and brought some monsoon season nice and early, which was very advantageous for the US Army, for the Viet Cong. So space warfare, physical, we're talking lich, pulling satellites out of the sky, right? Now, because it's relevant, we might as well show you it now, because I've got a few clips along the way that I'll pull out for you. But there was a clip just this week that came out, interestingly enough, just as I was writing this show, and you can see here, so Russia's just launched a counter space weapon, right? Now, a counter space weapon is essentially something that's designed to take out other countries' satellites. China's been working on that for many, many years. They're way ahead of the game. But this is Russia's own satellite killer, Lich, en route. On the way there, to do whatever to whoever's satellite, right? So we've got that coming up. So thank you so very much for being with us. I'm just keeping up with everyone live in the chat. I hope you're all well. Miss Worm in the house. Evening, lovely usuals, if you'll forgive the phrase. Some get well soon vibes, by the way, going out to Pedigree Mongrel, because he's got apparently a bit of man flu, and any man will tell any woman if they don't know. And how would a woman know? She's never had man flu before. Man flu is considered to be about 4 to 5 times more painful and more problematic than childbirth, right? So if you think that a man, when he's got man flu, is just putting it on, believe me, 4 to 5 times worse than childbirth, right? So proxy warfare, big time seeing that going down right now around the world on multiple levels, right? Economic blockades, sabotage warfare, right? So economic blockades, again, we've seen with things like sanctions, right? So this is fourth dimensional warfare tactics. So let's run through fifth dimensional warfare tactics then, which extends beyond the physical battlefield to target perceptions. This is an important one because this is properly rocking right now around the world, right? Not just by the West. On the contrary, this is like countries have been spending more money on fifth dimension warfare tactics than anything else over the last 2 decades, right? So this is about, you know, getting beyond the physical battlefield and targeting perceptions, economics and digital systems. So this type of warfare manipulates information, influences public opinion and disrupts critical systems, often without the need for direct physical confrontation. The focus is on undermining opponents through psychological, economic and technological means. I might have to put my glasses on a minute. So this is quite a big one because we're seeing a lot of this going on right now, fifth dimensional warfare tactics, right? I mean, it has been happening for a while, and I reported on it 2 years ago on this channel with my tactical intelligence assistant, Tia. And I did all sorts of reports talking about Thucydides' trap, where we were with that, what it was going to result in. and the fifth dimensional warfare tactics to look out for 2 years ago. And ironically, well, not ironically, and not coincidentally either, we've seen for just about all of those things happen since, including things like the pipeline, which was a prediction of the sabotage for infrastructure, energy. Boom. 2 weeks later, you know the rest who followed me long enough. So anyway, this is how it looks, is the key attributes of fifth dimensional warfare tactics. So indirect engagement. So this is about, the problem is, you see, this is important, right? The thing about indirect engagement is because of the MAD policies, because of the mutually assured destruction and stuff that China and America have. For those that don't know, the reason for that is that China knows that they can't survive a long-term... China knows that they can't survive a first strike from the USA, given the technology, the nukes and so on, right? And the reach and the scale. But equally, you see, America knows that it can't survive a long drawn-out war with China because China has 1.4 billion people, yeah, rather than about 340 million people. So they've got more than 3 times the population, almost 4 times the population of America, right? And they have all the manufacturing, and they have all the materials and resources, more than anyone else in the world, and they've got manufacturing capability from lich, mining, all the way through to final output. No other country has that. So that's why we can't survive in a long war against China, because they can just keep coming and we can't, right? So because of that, you end up with things like mutually assured destruction, which is where if China thinks that America's doing a first strike, then because China knows it can't survive a first strike, it's going to launch everything it's got mutually. The clue's in the word, right? And equally, it's agreed that if China declares war on America, then America will go bosh and push the red button because they know they can't survive a long war with China. So because of that, it's quite an obvious conclusion, isn't it? Because of that, it makes it very difficult to have direct engagement, because this is like declaring war. People don't declare war anymore. It's not like a king goes up to another king or sends him a little letter with a wax stamp with his knight on horseman to go and deliver it and say, right, meet me outside the garages at lunchtime on the top of the hill or whatever. Do you know what I mean? With all your geezers. You know? It's just not like that anymore, because the minute you declare war, what happens? Red button. MAD, yeah, mutually assured destruction. So it has to be indirect. In fact, you have to actually make it look specifically like it's someone that is not, yeah, is another fifth dimensional warfare tactic. It's like a false flag, for example, will come under fifth dimensional warfare tactics. The indirect engagement avoids physical combat, instead targets systems and perceptions. Global reach operates across borders without deploying troops. And again, because of the cyberspace and satellite stuff and all the other things combined in fifth dimensional. Psychological impact, designed to influence behavior, beliefs or decision making, target economy, cyber, all that kind of stuff. Information warfare, right? It's all wrapped up in that. It's all wrapped up in that. And that even comes down to wartime propaganda, right? And funny, actually, one of my best mates, Jake, my main man, I was chatting to him today, and we do a lot of simulations of, like, you know, grid down scenario simulations and what you would do. And he's very much from an engineering background, like me, and also product developer, same as me, except I spend all my time developing survival products and survival gear. He does other things. But I said to him today, I was talking about drone tech, and we'll get into it in part 2, big time with the drone technology, right? But I'll just tell you this quickly because it's relevant. And I was saying to him about some of the things we would talk about tonight, things like infrared, thermal, SAR, radar, stuff like this. And how you can avoid it, how you can, you know. And we were talking about fifth dimensional warfare tactics, and the subject of the SR-71 came up. For those, I'm not sure who's, if you're familiar, and he wasn't sure if it was the SR-71, and yeah, it was. And I said, yeah, it is, I think it's the one you're talking about. So the SR-71 is this little chap here. Now, this was a secret warbird. This was in the X class, if you like, in terms of being experimental, which became secret, the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. And it's an extremely unique shape. Now, do you see this here, this hangar? Now, back in the Cold War era and stuff like that with Russia, what happened was, because Russia's got loads of satellites, they got more satellites up there in some cases than America, depending on how you classify it, right? And so America were very concerned that Russia was going to see their secret plane, the SR-71, because it's still theoretically it's still a secret today. It's never been officially declassified, or did that come recently? I can't remember, or it's never been officially declassified. So the SR-71, when they were doing test flights and stuff, they had to be careful. They didn't want to leave it outside at daytime because otherwise the Russian satellites would see it, right? And so what they would do is during the day, or when it got to a certain time, because the Russian satellites pass by a certain time every day, if you understand how low Earth orbit works, which is how Starlink does what it does, right? They maintain their orbit. There's exactly the same time. It goes round every time. So they knew what time the Russian satellites go by, so they have to get the SR-71 stealth plane into the hangar before the Russian satellites come over. But what they didn't know is that the Russian satellites were using thermal cameras. And so what happened was when they put it in the hangar, the Russian satellite would see a shadow on the floor of cold temperature, if you can imagine that. So it's exactly like a shadow outline of the plane, but it wasn't from light, it was from the heat, because the sun had been beaten down, of course, where the SR-71 had been, casting a shadow. It wasn't hot on the floor, but it was all around it. They moved it in the concrete. It just stayed cool in that place. And as you can imagine, they already knew what it looked like. So they could already tune their radars to try and detect it and so on. You get me? So there's lots of weird stuff that goes on. And there's lots of weird ways that countries are able to counteract things, right? And I'll tell you another quick story, which I told him. This is where this came from, right? We're talking about, and this is relevant because, of course, the slide we're on right now, we're talking about fifth dimensional warfare tactics and what's some of the key attributes. And a lot of it's things like psychological and things like this, right? And cyber and propaganda, right? News media type propaganda. And I'll give you a good example, right? Have you ever heard of... Now this is, you probably haven't heard this in America, right? But in the UK, have you ever heard of eat your carrots because it'll help you to see in the dark? Just let me know in the live chat if you've heard that expression. Eat your carrots because it will help you see in the dark. Hey, Nelly in the house. Great to see you. Happy Limpet. Do you know Happy Limpet? You were the second most active, I think it called, subscriber of Sigma Preppers. So thank you very much. Second only to Pedigree Mongrel, who's unfortunately got man flu. Sorry, I'm not teaching stage 4 man flu the worstest, innit, Pat? Innit, right? No messing about. Oh man, so yeah, now the thing is, right, I'm just waiting for the chat to come through in regard to eating your carrots to help you see in the dark, right? Yes, anti-radar cab propaganda was proper too. A lot of people don't know this, right? Yeah, but they're rubbish, right? Yes, to do. No, not icons. It's actually complete and utter nonsense, and it's because Britain invented the radar, right? Some of the things, it's a little bit like, we had to be careful when we deciphered and we decrypted the World War II, the German code. That great film about that with, what's his face? I can't remember the film. You'll all tell me what it is where they decipher the code, right? But it was important that they didn't know that they knew. This was the same thing with radar. You couldn't... In order for Germans to not start getting suspicious, how does Britain always know where our planes are? How does Britain know when we're coming all the time, right? So what Britain did, is genius really, is what Britain did is in the newspapers, because of course they know that Germans are checking out the newspapers as for intelligence and that in the UK, right? So the Germans were watching the newspapers all the time, just as we were watching the German newspapers and so on. And just as the Germans would have been watching the American newspapers, right? There'd be someone's entire job department just reading through the enemy's news. And so in the UK British newspapers, they put stories in there about scientists find eating carrots increases eyesight. British pilots being given extra doses of carrots, right? And so what this was, it was plausible deniability in military tactic terms. This is what you call plausible deniability. So it's like, it put them off the scent for ages because they thought, oh man, you know, this is the reason they're seeing us coming is because they're eating fucking carrots they can see in the dark, right? So then everyone starts, like, German starts going, right, everyone, all the pilots come in, right, start eating carrots. And carrots, just more carrots, right? Just so they could see in the dark. But it was all nonsense, right? It was all nonsense. It was just designed to try and put them off the scent that we had invented radar and no one knew what radar was apart from us at the time. So thank you to everyone who joined in with that one, because I wasn't sure how many people. Turing, thank you, Cypher Decipher as well. Brilliant, yeah. That's it. That's it. Bumble Dick Compass Match. Brilliant, Flat Cap Gaming. Yeah, that's the one. Enigma, yeah, the Enigma machine, that was it. And again, that was invented by British, because we just rock, obviously, yeah. I think as a unified power, USA and Britain do make a good team, I gotta say, but we do get ourselves into some trouble around the world together. You're it, whoosh, man. So here we go then. We need to get through because I'm just babbling. I do apologise. So this is what fifth dimensional warfare tactics looks like. This would come under, there are some more, but I've tried to condense them down because I ran out of room really. But economic warfare in my full, like, 350 page ultimate prepping guidebook, which will be out soon. In the surviving World War 3 chapter, it will be in full, right? Because I'm not limited to space in that. So economic warfare, big one. We've seen, I mean, you should be ticking these off in your head as we've been going through all of these different warfare tactics to see what's in play right now and what's already been, right? Because economic warfare is all over the shop, right? With things like the oligarchs having their yachts seized and, you know, currency trading and devaluing things, taking people off the SWIFT system, right? Sanctions. This is all coming under the economic fifth dimensional warfare tactics. Cyber warfare. And I've added in there AI emerging. I've got an entire section on that that I might pull out of the chapter because it's getting too big. But because AI is so emerging, it's quite a new thing in terms of what it's being used for in military terms. It's being used a lot for tactical analysis, a lot with things like contingencies, because, you know, like as Mike Tyson says, you know, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And what's the other quote? No plan survives first contact with the enemy. So, given all that, AI systems are very good at analysing all the variables and coming up with contingencies, and as well as AI, when it comes to cyber warfare, is a big thing as well, because this includes things like breaching security, where you can face map and voice map IDs and manipulate people through video calls or telephone calls. That's all comes under fifth dimensional warfare tactics as well. So you also got psychological warfare. That's been ongoing big time. Just even the stuff you see in the news, some of the media that is shown is all neuro-linguistic programming. It's all the words are chosen to spark different emotions at different times for different purposes. So you feel certain ways about certain things, right? Information warfare, propaganda, we just talked about that, right? Good example. Space warfare, we just saw that as well. This comes under fifth dimension warfare. So we've, as we just showed you, the Russia satellite killer going up into space, getting ready to get his lasso ready. So any Western satellites flying by, so yeah, I'll have that one. I'm sure it's not a fishing rod, right? But you never know with Russia. Fuck me. So, weather wars, systemic weather wars. So this is like, obviously we talked about, we had weather warfare as part of what we had in the other one as well, because we talked about Project Popeye, whatever it was in Vietnam when it was used, cloud seeding. But weather war systemic is more designed to, you can do a lot of stuff politically if you have a systemic and continued manipulation of that. And this can also, I wanted to put seismic here. A lot of people never include that, but there's seismic warfare as well. So I don't really want to say out loud what that is, but you can probably guess, right? So I haven't written it here, but seismic warfare is another one. Drone warfare is what we're talking about today, right? Specifically, the entire part 2 of this show is going to be dedicated to drone warfare, what it's all about, what flavors we've got, and how we prepare against it, and how we survive it, right? And how we hide from it. Cultural warfare, this is ongoing big time, and even to be honest, even the racist thing and the you know, the racism thing, the migrant thing, the BLM thing, the LGBTQ thing, a lot of these can be used as ways to deharmonize a nation, to soften them up before the enemy goes into attack, right? Because if you've got a country that's like sort of hating itself from the inside, it's very difficult to get people to join the army, as the US and UK military have found. The UK military is the smallest it's been for 300 years. Do you know Napoleon was rocking about? Yeah? Napoleon's responsible for a lot of silly things. Do you know Napoleon being left-handed is all that's responsible for you guys in America driving on the right of the road instead of the left like you should be? Because the whole point is when you're passing someone on your horse, right, that you would have your sword fighting arm free, right, on the side that you pass. That's the point of driving on the left, because before it was galloping on the left, not driving on the left, right? But because Napoleon was left-handed, you see, he's galloping this side and he has his sword in this hand. So he made everybody, just for him, he made everyone travel the other side so that he could always have his sword arm to the guy coming the other way, because he was left-handed. So he was like, oh no, God forbid he actually has to do like everyone else on the right-hand side, because it means that he now has to pass over himself to get the other guy. Anyway, what's that got to do with this? Don't know. Lawfare and financial warfare. Oh God, we've seen so much of that. Lawfare is a big one that's been going on recently. I can give you a million examples of that. Financial warfare again, things like currency trading that's a little bit dodge. Shutting off the SWIFT system again is another part of that. And of course electromagnetic warfare, so this is like sabotage to electric systems by using you know, EMP devices and things. But these are ones that are more like for jamming and things, so you don't actually know it's going on. It's not like a pulse that goes bosh. This is like these things can do mind manipulation. They, you know, don't forget, where was that? Let me know live in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. There was an embassy maybe a couple of years ago that had they think that was electromagnetic warfare, where people getting headaches inside the embassy somewhere, or the... Let me know live in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, right? And so from this list here, the drone warfare is what we're chatting about tonight, right? Specifically as our Warzone Wednesday. Please make sure you're wearing your onesie or your sleeping attire. So the Warzone Wednesday today is the drone warfare with a more strategic approach to preparedness is what we're going to be focusing on tonight. And so when we come back after the break, we're going to be looking right into it in detail. We're going to be looking at types of drones that there are, the sorts of things we need to worry about. We've got the capabilities of drones that we'll be going through with some of the surveillance type ones. You've got munitions ones. There's autonomous drones, right? And the different functions that they perform. And then we'll go on to then look at how we can remain hidden or undetected from drones and ways we can prepare against it. And then we'll look at some of the trending connections between drones and the UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. So this is basically what we're rocking with today. I hope you have enjoyed our quick, brief overview of some of the stuff we went over last week, plus the more with a bit more detail this time. Let me know how you're feeling so far. It's not doing too bad for time. We've just hit the 1 hour live mark, so we'll need to be we got the part 2 coming up. Please do vote live in the poll as well. 67 votes is looking good, so thank you to those that contributed to have your say. If you're watching this afterwards, you'll see over on Discord server, the Sigma Prepper community server is the most awesome place to be. It's an absolute knowledge base and great place to meet like-minded people who are all lovely and helpful. And if you're lovely and helpful, then you can help others too. Yeah, this is where we get to give back and take a little bit, but give back as well, right? So what do you believe the recent drone/UAP sightings really are? Do you think it's American military drones? Do you think it's foreign enemy drones? Or do you think it's aliens or, you know, extraterrestrials? Thank you so very much to our most recentist patriot. Oh, is that Pat? No. What am I talking about? Sorry, Pat's already in here. But thank you for joining. Let me give you some wolf love. Really appreciate you being part of the wolf pack over there on the Discord server. Wheeled medic was directed energy causing multiple lifelong injuries. Yeah. Yeah. And also just that you can have small devices. Russia's absolutely epic at jamming. Epic at jamming. Right? When you look at... this is the thing, they're going to have jamming devices on drones, right? So you're going to be having all sorts of things going down, cell towers and entire areas going down, right? But yeah, you can see on the jamming network, look, this is what it looks like, GPS jam, look. And you can see the only place that's got red, right, for GPS signal is here. All the way around you know what. And you know where. But you know why. It's not a coincidence. Russia's the absolute master at jamming GPS. This is how they've already outdone our cruise missiles from the UK. They've already figured it out how to scramble and jam. And some of these things are done with electromagnetic warfare, right? By they having devices that are just left somewhere that you can just remotely turn on and off. And it just disrupts local systems and they just can't figure out why. Yeah? I do stuff like that, right? Let's have a look. I'm not sure. I'm so glad to see everyone here. So lovely to see you as well, Noel Marie. Been thinking about you a lot recently. Scottish Prepper as well. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I've had that on X for the past 3 days. Some guy trying to tell me he's Elon Musk. I'm just cutting into people's conversations here. Addy73 and the Nudge Unit. Get nudging. Thank you to everyone who's hit the like button as well. I really appreciate, obviously today is the first ever show while being monetized, which is absolutely great. I'm about 14 days or so ahead of schedule. I was targeted to try and get the channel monetized by the new year. Managed to do it a couple of weeks earlier than that, so that's cool. So thank you to all of your help for achieving that. And of course, at the same time, we also went live with monetization just this morning. So, wow. Thank you all to these people who have contributed to help keep the lights on and keep things rocking here so I can carry on. It's been an absolute crawl on fumes up until this point. So thank you to everyone keeping us rocking. Thank you to our VIP Patreon members. So we're going to be going on a short break where when we come back, we've got loads to get through. It's not even funny with the drone warfare tactics, which is what it's all about today. For the Warzone Wednesday, make yourself a cup of tea. This is what we're getting into. This is what we're going to be talking about. This is a massive topic. It's very important because it's super trending, as well as it being the sort of thing that is really going to catch us out all over the place. If you see what's going on in Ukraine and Russia with the drone situation, which I'll show you when we come back in part 2, a few videos to get you in the mindset of what we're dealing with here and what it could mean for us in the future for other things as well, other than global conflict. A lot of the technology, don't forget, that's being developed right now and being prototyped and tested. We know from the last times that there's been significant conflict that there's lots of inventions that come out of it. There's lots of policies that get put into place. There's lots of draconian laws that get made on the back of the fear and panic that's introduced to people with the wartime thing, right? And this is why they don't mind talking about the global conflict, because they want people to be scared and fearful and panic, because it's going to, first of all, make people more willing to go along with whatever, right? And it's also, I mean, it's quite clear. It's quite clear that it's in full effect, right? They're trying very hard to make us not like certain countries in certain countries, right? We be jamming, we're come on. Sorry, people talking about, we can jam GLONASS too. Yeah, I mean, Russia, like I say, they've got newer technology. The GLONASS isn't the military spec stuff anyway. That's the standard stuff, like the sort of things I use in here. I got a brand new GPS receiver, actually, for one of my modules. I thought it was in there, but it's not. It's absolutely beautiful. It's the one that plugs into one of my prototypes here, which I'm building, which is one of my tactical intelligence assistant sensor nodes and controllers that will. So yeah, but I've got a new GPS but it's still totally jammable. It's not immune from stuff like that, right? This is the problem, and there's going to be lots of stuff that are things going to be cutting us out. With the drone tech and stuff as time goes on. And don't forget, I've worked with military drones. I probably should have led with that as a prototype and engineer. I was one of the first guys to develop drone technology back in 2003. Before DJI, before any of that stuff, right? Using model helicopters, doing aerial photography, right? So drone technology has been close to my heart. I work with an American company based in Malaysia, building a $6.2 million drone. Autonomous. I was the head technician on that and the head lead. So let's just assume I know what I'm talking about when it comes to drones, and it's interesting that it seems to be the thing that's kind of trending at the moment. In fact, funnily enough, I think there was we were talking about something else completely unrelated the other day, and my drone background is like some of my this is me back in the day with some of my hand-built planes. These are all built from a box of sticks, as you call it, right? That was my record-breaking 214 mile an hour straight and level world record that I held for about, I think, 14 months until it was broken. This is the tiniest helicopter when it first came out. I fly helicopters and planes and drones. These are all my own builds. Here's me with my first helicopter, look. This is my flying club in Thailand that I ran. With the chief of tourist police who was into RC. I taught him to fly helicopters. We ran a model shop together in this flying thing. I lived in Thailand for 10 years, for those that don't know. This is one of my other helicopters. So, yeah, I've always been into that kind of stuff. Oh, this is, yeah, look, funny enough, this is my commercial drone. This is the one I've been around the world with, doing video shoots and stuff. This is my own development. It's just used a TBS frame, but it's super, super customized. 2-mile range remotely. This is the case. This case now is underneath my desk, which is actually going to be my inch case. My I'm never coming home case, if you don't know what that is. Most people know what a bug out bag is and a go bag, but an inch bag is an I'm never coming home bag. Now this is a Pelly case. It's not cheap and it's got wheels on it. So this is going to be my proper bug out case, which is going to have battery bank inside, all the tech, all laid out, just that one case, boom, and you're off. It's got water filters, cut, butchers, cut gloves, protection, things like that in there as well. So that's a massive project. One of the things I do is custom bug out cases like that for people. So I'm building the most ultimate version of it. So look out for that as we go. But anyway, just a good excuse to show you what I'm talking about with things like drones, because even those drones, the commercial ones that I used to build myself for other commercial pilots, you'll be surprised how frequently these are used in modern day warfare, especially what we're seeing now in Ukraine and Russia as that stuff, right? So we got to get on, because I haven't even scratched the surface yet. We haven't even got through these slides. We got to get through all the different types of drones, all the different things that they can be a threat to us, and how we can prepare for drone technology when it comes to surveillance, when it comes to munitions, and all these other bits and pieces. So if you haven't done, please hit the like button. But in the meantime, we're going on a short break so I can get myself a refill of my tea. Yep, freezing cold. We can't be having that. So I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. Don't go anywhere, because I'm not. And join me back here for part 2 in about 5 minutes. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you for the super chatterers. Really, really couldn't do this without you. Really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. See you in 5. Welcome back, Wolfpack. Part 2 of Warzone Wednesday with your boy Drew here on the Secret Prepper channel. Oh, it's been an absolute epic part 1. Don't forget, today we are doing the drone warfare for the prepping for SHTF survival scenario. It's been a big one, a lot to get through, so thank you to everyone who's been patient. Warzone Wednesday, how to survive World War III is how we're doing today. And we've been looking through the different types of warfare tactics, covering the main categories of conventional warfare, fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional warfare tactics, and breaking down each one, what includes in each type of these, giving a full explanation all the way through. And each week essentially that we do the Warzone Wednesdays, we'll be going through each of these types of warfare tactics. Today, for example, we got down to drone warfare, which is part of fifth dimensional warfare tactics. And so that's what it's going to be specializing today. So thank you to anyone who's in the chat who's familiar with drones and is seeing what's going on with the UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomena, right, that we see going on all over New Jersey and stuff like that. So we'll be looking at that as well. And we'll be asking what sort of tech do they have? How can we protect ourselves from it? What does that mean if World War III kicks off and there's drones buzzing overhead, whether they're the small little hobby ones, the FPV, first person view, which is where you're flying them remotely with a wireless video link, so you're flying as though you're sitting in the cockpit, but they're only small drones with a payload, all the way up to the big Reaper drones like you see, these sorts of things from America. These are hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, tens of millions of dollars each. And of course you've got things like these Russian ones as well, which are doing a pretty good job, to be honest. The ones with the four wings are doing quite well. So this is the kind of subject matter today. Thank you to each and every one of you in the chat with us tonight. And don't forget, for those that don't know, tonight is the first night ever that this channel has been monetized. So thank you to YouTube, thank you to Google for letting me in by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Talking of hair of my chinny chin chin, which I shaved off today. But I have to mention Magic Hand, whoosh, Mr. Sigma Prepper, cutting my hair today. Doesn't it look wonderful? Don't I look fabulous? What do you think, guys? No? Thank you, Magic Hand, for cutting my hair. Appreciate it. We're also got a full Christmas decoration mode with Sigma's got his hat on. So we're all good. I hope you've got your onesies or your nightwear, because it's important that we're as comfortable as we can be while talking about super uncomfortable topics, such as the Warzone Wednesday with the drone warfare. So without any further ado, I think the only thing that we've got to do...
Critical alert. This is
right.
not a test.
Let's get into it. Love, peace and progress to the pack. Cheers, everyone. I hope you had enough time to get yourself a drink. Cheers in the chat. Yummy. To each and every one of us and to this channel as we move forward with all of the shows coming up, with all of the products that I'm going to be launching on top of the ones we've already got out there, on all the SHTF scenario simulation, with all my bushcraft camps, with all of the bushcraft skills, medical skills, growing skills, storage, food, filtering, you name it. You're in the right place. Thank you, everyone, for making it happen. Right. Quick reference to the vote that we've got rocking live tonight. We've got a live poll, so please do join along in that. For those that aren't seeing this live and watching it afterwards, when we do a poll, I always make sure I include it on the Discord server. It's a great place for storing information, a great knowledge base. You can see here the prepping intel. We've got food storage, whatever you want to ask about, share ideas, whatever, cooking tips, right? All that kind of stuff. Off-grid power. Obviously, as an electronic and robotic engineer myself, there's a lot I can add for that one as well for everyone. Protection, security. I've popped a video in there recently, my solo stealth camping PIR wireless system that just runs on AA and AAA batteries. You can take that with you and put it anywhere in an SHTF scenario, all the way down to financial preparedness. So whatever you want to learn more about, it's all there, a massive knowledge base, all categorized. So thank you to everyone who's joining with that. But I also, for purposes of history, I like to put on here what the live polls are so you can see them afterwards. Tonight's live poll, please do vote in it. What do you believe the recent drone UAP sightings really are that we're seeing in the West right now? Do you think that's USA Western military drones? Do you think it's foreign enemy drones come from other countries over to our cities? Or do you think it's aliens or extraterrestrial life? So let us know what you're thinking about that. And after the show tonight, we will be going straight into a live after party with me and you over on the Discord server. If you want to join us there, it's this one here, after party. Click on it. It's the voice one. You'll see yourself in there, and you can see I'm in there talking right now. It's as easy as that. Just click on it, and we're all good. And we can just, yeah, that's it really. So that's where I'll be after the show tonight. In the after party, we can talk more about what we've been going through today on today's show. So let's get through it, because there's an awful lot to do and a lot to get through. We probably won't get it through it all, but we'll have a go. So we'll try and differentiate between what's nonsense and what's not. And we'll catch up what's been going on out there. I've got a few videos to do with some of the military stuff that's going on around the world, plus the UAP and drone sightings that seem to be happening all of a sudden. And we need to be asking ourselves the question, why do we think this is happening all of a sudden? What's going on with the drone situation that reports everywhere with sightings of drones? Do you think, this is your time to vote in the chat? Cheers, everyone. Here we are. Cheers, Lone Wolf Prepper. Sorry, skip down. Magic Hand, love to you. Thank you, honey. Thank you again for my haircut. That's another thing to be a good prepper. You need a missus who can cut your hair well, right? Or you're just a buzz cut, yeah? Which I have done on occasion. So, cheers, Perpy Poos. Love to you, honey. I hope things are well with you and JD. Sandy, what can I tell you? Thank you for being there for me all the time. And you, Kaza. Thank you, Miss Worm. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us with the tea. Cheers, Day Survival. Head of Security. Moderator of all moderators. Thank you, honey. Robert McNamara, thank you for your super chat as well, Robert. Thank you, Sandy, as well, for yours. The Cyber, digga. Sindro, when approach the lights off. Cynthia Coronota, my lovely. Again, good to see you in there. So, thank you everyone for joining us live. So let's have a look at this one. Then we'll just catch up with some of this drone footage that people are seeing. Now, I can tell you now, this to me looks more like a laser from the ground, right? So you've got to be aware of a lot of these videos are just people trying to cash in on the trending keywords with the UAVs, UAPs, and drones and stuff. And this is just, you can see, is just lights in the sky, right? This is not what we're talking about, right? This isn't the drones we're talking about, right? There's been quite a few, what do I need? Where's my folder gone? This one here. This is another one that's floating around, no pun intended. Shapeshift UFO, right? This is another one that was allegedly caught, but look at the state of it. This looks like a helium-filled silver mylar deflated kid's balloon that got away. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But this, the problem we've got as well nowadays, right, is the fact that because technology has moved on the way it has, because AI technology, when it comes to things like 3D simulation and making fake videos and stuff like that, it becomes really difficult to discern what's true and what's not, right? The first thing lost in wartime is truth. Don't ever forget that. So whatever we're trying to find, we have to bear in mind that it's just not quite as straightforward as, oh, there's some people with videos. But this has been reported on the mainstream, and it has been congressional hearing with the FBI have talked about it because they've had to. And so is this something that they want us to know about? Is this something that this is drones in Jersey City? Look. I mean, first of all, if you're a alien drone, you're not going to be having lights flashing all over you. You're going to be covert, whatever it is, right? There's no advantage to be being seen, yeah? So the only advantage here to being seen is, of course, with other flight traffic in the air traffic and stuff, which needs to avoid it. And to be honest, as a prototype engineer, I've built so many things with drones and RC aircraft. I mean, I used to launch SD's model rockets off my model helicopters when I was a young lad, right? Because that's the sort of young lad I was. That's where my nickname Q came from, because I was always doing like James Bond, coming out with James Bond stuff, right? always to do with sort of personal VIP security type gadgets, right? Briefcases with stuff inside, let's just say that, right? Like electronic, like command centers, which again is part of what my tier is. This is the main tier vocal system, my custom AI. This is a security system that goes in a Peli case, which you take as your like bug out or homestead, and it's just your command center. And it's the base station of all your security devices and sensors that are all remote and wireless and battery operated. So this is the voice module. Yeah, this is the all her voice is stored on there. This area here controls the hand radio to be able to transmit as well, to give me alerts and things like that. So that's work in progress, but that's the same sort of thing, right? When I'm making things like drones, and I do a lot of, like I say, I've worked with military style drones for the Malaysian government, for example, which were drones that were looking for orangutan hunters in Borneo and places like that, right? And traffickers. And so the drones, these things go for about maybe 20-hour flight time, but they can go the entire length of the entire main highway of Malaysia and land in the water and take off from the water. Big project, highly complex, lots of problems to solve. I'm just saying, the amount of work I've done with so many drones and prototyping and electronic engineering to make a drone, my point I'm getting to is for me to do this, for me to replicate this is like literally an afternoon in my lab there, right? It's like my lab the other side of my, I could literally knock this up today with all due respect with some RGB LEDs and, you know, probably 120, 130 lines of code to do the color sequence pattern on the LED strip, and that's about it, right? And just have that on a wooden cane, you know, underneath a drone, and put it up there on a autonomous loiter pattern with GPS and stuff, right? I mean, it's just, this is the thing, it makes it difficult because this stuff's so easy for me to fake, and so therefore it's so easy for other people out there like me who've been in that industry and have those skills to fake, so that it makes it for me really difficult to believe. Not to mention I've run a media company doing things like special effects, so, and 3D graphic animations and stuff, hence all the things you see I make here myself. And so I just don't get impressed by that. There's too many things that make it easy to fake. Do you know what I mean? This is the problem nowadays, is it's become really difficult to discern, you know, real from fake. The only thing you can rely on now is the uncanny valley, right? And the uncanny valley is that uncomfortable feeling you get when you look at a weird looking robot's face and it's like real enough to look real, but there's something about it just doesn't quite look real enough. It gives you the ick, right? That's the uncanny valley, right? Which is why Toy Story originally, the characters look much more lifelike than but they were suffering from the uncanny valley. When they made the Toy Story characters look less realistic, people and kids and that felt more comfortable with it. Yeah. So if you're trying to look real and you don't quite get it looking real, then you get uncanny valley. It's like, ugh. But if you're not trying to be real and it kind of looks like it's supposed to, like a cartoon, then it's all right, basically. Ignoring everyone on the chat. Sorry, everyone. So static electricity on a mylar balloon will cause it to catch fire like that, and it will stay afloat while because it's still up so high and warm. Yeah. What's the good point in the Flat Cat game made? Whilst we're all stating the New Jersey skies, what we're missing at the ground level. Yes, that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Because one of the things I was going to say is, like Flat Cat Gaming here just said, one of the rules, right? Like in open source investigation, truth of world and stuff like that, right? One of the rules is that if they're telling you to look up, then it means that you need to look down. If they're telling you to look down, it's because they're distracting you because there's something that's going on in the skies. So the fact that they're making people look at the skies makes you wonder what's going on the ground. And there's a lot going on the ground. I mean, not just the whole P. Diddy thing and all that, right? But there's a lot of things that have come to light lately that they don't want people knowing about. So it doesn't surprise me that the activity... But this is some of the reason why the uncanny valley and the technology with media at the moment making it very difficult to fake stuff. But this does look quite similar to what we just saw. This is another angle. This is Bedminster, New Jersey look. I mean, it looks massive. It does look massive. This is almost more like a an airship. Yeah. But I've only seen a few different movements like this, where there's been no dramatic movement or anything like that, like hypersonic zhung zhung or anything. But so here's some other drones that this one here. What you'll see, this is an example. Ignore the guy at the bottom here. But he's reporting on it like I am. But this is some drone footage taken from more of a hobbyist type drone, right? An FPV drone, a first person view drone. So there's a soldier back at base or a mile or so away controlling this. And where my mouse is there, I don't know if you can see it circling around up there, right? This is a infrared image, but this is showing 4 guys carrying a stretcher with a guy on the stretcher. And there's a guy back here. But this drone is about to, well, let's just play the video. This is in Ukraine. Look, he's just dropped these 2 little bomb things here. You see they land there. And then this dude who's lying down on the stretcher gets up and just goes for it, look. It's like, hold on a minute. I thought he was on a stretcher. And now he's just running off. What? So I don't know if they're just pretending to be injured and that's their little thing, but you can see what I mean about how these small drones with just a small payload can really do some damage, right? And it becomes a real threat. And you can imagine how scary it must be for people when you've got these things buzzing around. You can hear them, you can't see them, and you're just not quite sure what's going to happen next. And this is the sort of feeling that these guys are having in the trenches in Ukraine. Listen to it. Trying to hunt out people. Can you imagine sitting there, listening to that, wondering if you're next? You heard the boom in the background, right? That was essentially it getting someone or whatever. I don't know, man. Tell me what you think, right? I'm trying to draw the picture so you can get yourself into this. This is why we're in the location we are always on a war zone Wednesday with the wartime going on behind us, because you need to get into the zone. This is how I map out all of these things. Is you get yourself into the mindset, and you need to start. I have like major hyperphantasia, so I can generate any scene in my mind on demand and zoom in, zoom out, and 3D rotate around and all that, you know. I only learned like 3-4 years ago that wasn't normal, as in not everyone can do that. But anyway, but when I do that, I go through scenarios. I try and go through the mindset of all the different moves one by one and stop at each move through the sequence of events of a crisis or an SHTF scenario. And that's what gives me insight into all of the cascade of things that happen. And I have a weirdness for detail to the point where I'll spend weeks and weeks, all day, every day thinking it through. And I've done a similar thing with drone warfare, and I think it's a really intricate thing because there are ways to protect against it. But these are going to be the first things that when society starts breaking down, regardless of any global conflict or anything like that, right? When society starts broken down, because so many people have access to commercial drones now, like your DJI Mavics and, you know, your 250 mil, as they're called, drones, about 30 centimeters between the rotors, the propellers. And so these are only small things. So many people have them that if it came to that sort of, like, I don't want to say civil war type thing, but if it was down to that, this is why they've become so well used in Ukraine and Russia, because they're just coming to the table with their own stuff. Yeah, if I was called up or whatever, I mean, it wouldn't make much sense to conscript me into the army on the front line. I'd be better off in a lab somewhere working on guidance systems or whatever. Is what do you know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense. I mean, again, you see, this is the thing. I'll show you something quickly, right? For those that haven't seen it, I did have my desk cam set up, but dragging it into shot. So this, for those that don't know, this is my sentry turret that I've been working on. Prototype, right? So this is essentially, it's got video camera on it. Now this would track drones, right? It's got a laser on it, right? And so this can also take down drones, right? These antennas here fire out the same frequency as a drone, yeah? Operates on, and it scrambles it and puts it into return to home mode and stuff. These are dynamic, I can use these for various things, but this pan and tilt mechanism, and then I've got an infrared flashlight here, and then I've got a laser here, yeah? And then this is an infrared laser. And then I've got a 30 times digital zoom camera here, and I've got a night vision camera here. This is also night vision, but it's 30 times zoom. This gives me more of a wide angle. If it's tracking someone around my front of the property as they walk past, it will track them automatically. Yeah. All this is metal gearing. It's all CNC machined aluminium that I built for it. And these are titanium geared mega servos basically. And I can operate this remotely. Both the video is transmitted remotely and the control of it remotely up to about 2 or 3 miles away, right? So I can just plonk this down. It's all self-powered. The battery pack's here, look. This is why it can continuously rotate. There's no cables. This is how I designed this special, unique pan platter here that no one had really sort of figured this out before I came up with this way of doing it. But anyway, so this is a project that's ongoing. But this can be used to track all sorts of stuff. Or you can have a couple of paintball guns on here. Or you can have some BB. Use your imagination. So that's work in progress at the moment. I had somebody offer me their kidney for it already. Never had that before. Thank you to, I've had a few people reaching out as well who are interested in me. We're helping them with other projects they're working on. But see, some of the things that are available just to normal, you see this here, right? For example, this is a thermal camera, right? So we're not talking like night vision. This is thermal. Now thermal's tricky stuff because to avoid thermal's quite difficult. Yeah. So you can get some of these cameras here for like 500 quid that are sort of usable. This one here, look. 640 by 512 resolution, 450 sheets. Yeah. So you don't have to use that on the drone, you can use it on anything, right? But thermal's going to cut through smoke, mist, fog, yeah? Light debris, shrubbery, right? Even through thin thingy-bobs you can see, through windows you can see thermal, don't forget. There are ways to protect against it, we're going to get into that, because these are some of the things we need to worry about when it comes to the drone warfare and the types of drone threats that are out there that we need to worry about. So we're going to get into that now. Thank you everyone for being with us still. LOL with a potato gun in it. Easy how you handle my turret, Drew. Do you know spud gun, the best place for a spud gun, perps, right, is a cinema. You take a spud gun to the cinema, right, and you sit at the back, and when you fire your spud gun, it basically looks like a sparks running through the air because obviously the projector is lighting up the potato from the back. So if you sit at the back and that's the sort of 13-year-old me and my mates were. In the back of the cinema with spud guns. Oh dear. I would love a thermal drone, says John C. Super easy to rig up, man. Super easy. Could really be alien drones. You know, do you know you've seen the same research video as I saw, Ian Palmer? I was just going to say you can defeat thermal with an umbrella. So let's talk about that quickly, because this is one of the things that drone technology is used for by governments, by militaries, by mercenaries, by all sorts, right? And obviously even terrorists now with things like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, these sorts of things, with what's going on in Syria and Ukraine and Russia. There's all sorts of like fifth dimensional warfare tactics being used, and drone technology is one of the most significant developments that is lich. They're just plowing money into it, because what you don't have in men, right, you can have in just rolling drones out. And if they're autonomous, you don't need a pilot for each drone, right? You just set waypoints and off it goes and delivers its stuff. And you can have another drone that's sitting there that's using like my infrared laser there, which is invisible. That's how they paint targets, right? So you have one drone that will sit there and it will paint the target with the drone operator is a little bit like the pan and tilt, like one of my other designs. So for example, what you do is on your, just imagine it's a model helicopter or a plane in loiter mode or an RC drone. This is one I built for one of my helicopters. This is just hand DIY made with carbon fiber sheet and aluminium. And all these holes are just lightening holes. So this is an example of the sort of camera that goes on a drone, right? This one I've made into pan and tilt. And this is a pretty good camera here. This is pretty chunky. It's got 2 servos. So this is an example of like sort of thing that you would have on the drone. And this thing here is basically got a infrared laser, and the operator's making sure that it keeps that target laser exactly where it should be. And then you'll have another drone that will come along, which has got a payload on it, if you know what I mean. And here's another one of my designs from back in the day. I used to sell these with when I used to sell stuff for drone technology. This is a carbon fiber pan and tilt, but it's quite unique in the way the base plate works. Again, it's all complete lower slung, right? So these are sort of things these drone uses. This goes inside the fuselage of a large fixed wing drone, right? And you'll have basically various whatever platforms you want on that, or it can be here underslung. So that's what that design's for. So these are sort of things they use, and then those target the things that the infrared's painting. Now, some of the things that we need to be when it comes to drones and stuff, right? So we need to distinguish. You've got military drones, which is things like reconnaissance drones, right? So you got things like ISR drones, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Yeah, so these sorts of things are like the RQ-11 Raven. Let's see if we can get one of them up. RQ-11. So this is a good example of an ISR drone. Look, these are usually, they don't want to be too high a budget. Now you see this thing here, this ball camera here. This is essentially that's inside. Yeah, but these things here, look, I've built quite a few of these. These are quite popular actually, just for the hobby RC hobbyists. You get about maybe a 3-hour flight time with these, 4-hour flight time, which is pretty good. You can see the size, look, being launched. So it's a fixed wing, it's very stable, it's quite slow flying, but the range is good, right? And the payload's good, and particularly payload good enough to have your reconnaissance module on there, like you saw with the pan and tilt, right? So these are the sort of things we're talking about. So these are like, you know, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. So they're more like the sort of things you'd have those thermal cameras or the lasers painting the targets and stuff, right? The MQ-9 Reaper, everybody knows that's the one. Let's see if we can pull one of them up. The MQ-9 Reaper are the ones that I featured in the slide. This one here. Yeah, so these are the big bucks jobbies, right? Look at that, 15 times more ordnance payload than the MQ-1. I was going to see how much we're talking about. Let me know if you see how much we're talking of. 300 plus as of 2021 they've got of these things. The US Air Force operated over 300 MQ-9 Reapers as of May 2021. Estimated at $32 million. Yeah? A piece. Yeah? $32 million a piece. And again, thank you to the Super Chats. First ever video on this channel to be monetized. Let me know if you're still getting ads or anything. Let me know if it's getting annoying. I hope not. The Super Chats earlier certainly weren't annoying, so thank you to everybody who's helping to keep the channel alive by the skin of its teeth. I can't believe the timing of all this, it's amazing. So these things are epic sheets, right? So the reconnaissance drones are, you know, you've got combat drones, right? So these are more like UCAVs, like unmanned combat aerial vehicles. So rather than ISRs, which are more surveillance and reconnaissance, the combat vehicles are stuff that's actually carrying a payload, right? And they come in lots of different flavors. Let's see if we can pull one of them up as well. So a good example would be the MQ-1 Predator, which was the one we just saw, the MQ-9, right? So this is the one, it says it's got slightly like 13 times less payload than that bigger one, but I'm assuming these things are cheaper. Do you know what? We're going to have to start getting used to what these things look like, what they're called, and how to identify them. Because if we start seeing these things flying around the sky, we're going to need to know what we're talking about, right? And back in World War II, they were all, yeah, loiter overhead for 14 hours, then return to base. This is very similar to the one I was working on, and was the lead tech consultant on. Very, very similar. I know the project I was working on, they were selling them for about $6.2 million. So these are going to be probably more than that. And that was with no payload. I can't see the price. Let me know. Command and sensor deployment methodology. 20-foot wingspan. Bigger than the one I worked on. What's that? I can't see the price of these things, but... let's go. So 26. No, sorry, I'm just searching for the I'm searching for the dollar sign. Not seeing it though. Okay, well anyway, that's the sort of thing we're talking about. So it looks similar, but it's just a smaller sort of a thing, right? The MQ-1. There's one as well, the Bayraktar TB2, which is one that's used in the Ukraine conflict at the moment. This is a Turkish drone, if I can find it for you. Is that it? Bayraktar. I wasn't pronouncing it right. Bayraktar TB2. So this one here again is autonomous. There's no pilots in these things. It means that they're kind of like losable. This is the command center. The one I worked on was like a minivan that was redone out to the spec that I gave them. They had like almost unlimited budget. It was cool. It was one of the best projects I ever worked on. But this is their base station was like a minivan, but this is obviously on steroids kind of version because it's military. Like I say, the one that I was working on was for like, yeah, it's for the government, but not for like military. It's for tracking thingy. So these things, 5 million for the unit. They're big old lads, though. Look at it. Look at the dude standing there. You've got proper... See, again, the difference here. These are the attack versions. So you've got ordnance and things that it carries. And this is the ground station. And you see that satellite there? That's basically the equivalent of what my Sentry turret is with the pan and tilt that tracks it. Essentially, you use a GPS... My one has a GPS on it with I've got a program that I wrote that essentially gets fed telemetry data from the aircraft showing where it is in GPS. The antenna tracker, in this case the satellite vehicle tracker, knows where it is GPS, and it just does some, you know, trigonometry essentially on the GPS coordinates to figure out what direction and how far, and the elevation and azimuth calculation, so it knows where you're flying, and it follows you around to get maximum signal, right? So these, it's not like these autonomous drones are just sent off from like New York or something, and then they fly around the world and just land, you know, or just start hovering over the top of Iran or something, right? And a lot of drones aren't actually that. Apart from the very small ones, it's quite difficult to hide them from radar. It does make them easier because they're not manned or anything like that. So the other type of drones as well. Look at Robert McNamara. Thank you so, Robert. Look, you're appearing twice on the board. Thank you for super chatting on my very first ever super chattable live show as of from this morning. So thank you so much to everyone for helping the channel to get monetized finally. It's been millions and millions of years. It's been 3, but oh dear. So loitering munitions, right? So these are dodgy. People have talked about these. Like, loitering munitions are basically self-unaliving drones, let's say, because it doesn't like that word. self-unaliving drones is basically what you would call loitering munitions. So essentially what these things do, they're like kamikaze style things, yeah. What are those things called? Something like a switch knife or something like that. It's American, is it? Switch knife, switch blade? Maybe it's switchblade drones, is it? Loitering munition systems. Yes, it must be. I found it, yay! Is this it? Switchblade, 300 block 20, loitering munition, right? Check it out. So this is what I'm talking about. I don't know if you're supposed to see any of this, I'm sorry. So you see these type of things. Now these are loitering munitions. Now, you see how big they are, right? But they can carry munitions, as in, yeah. And again, FPV, first person view controlled, right? So you got matey boy here, and then, you know, you got the drone that's loitering. So it will maintain itself in a loiter pattern, yeah, which is essentially just, it will circle around a particular GPS coordinate given a particular radius. And so these switchblade things here, right, these will loiter about and they will find their target, yeah, and they swoop in and they go, but I won't show you the rest, but they swoop in and they go bosh on the target, and the target is usually an individual. I don't imagine that looks particularly pretty. Now, there was an instance of these being used by the 44th president, was it? So Obama was known for his use of drone technology, right? And a lot of drone technology was developed under Obama. Thank you again to Robert. Let me love your super chat. Thank you so much to everybody who's helping to keep the show alive and super chatting. I'm trying to kick the like button. There you go. It does affect the revenue if you skip the ads. You have to watch them all the way to the end and then rewind it, and then if you can watch it again and again, and then you get more sheets. I'm only joking. Just ignore it. But yes, it does. If you watch more than the first 10 seconds, cha-ching, I get about 2 cents, not even. 0.2 cents. If you don't, then I don't. That's all. But thank you, I really appreciate it. Yes, they only get paid. You watch 2 ads all the way through. Not all the way through. I think it's the first 10 seconds or something. Thank you everyone for joining in. Yeah, look, thank you, Will Medic. TB2 approximately. Is that 35 million or 3.5? Kamikaze. That, you know, that's probably a good word to call these. These are basically kamikaze type style, right? So the design of them is to try and keep them as cheap as possible, because of course they are destructive themselves. They don't drop munitions or anything like that. They lich, you know. So the other thing as well is the swarm drones, right? Is another type of drones that is worth knowing about. Look at Della in the house. Matching Robert. Keep rocking, Andy. Thank you very much, Della, my darling. Love you, my darling. Thank you so much for being you and for helping the show the way you do. So swarm drones. So these are kind of like large groups of drones you've probably seen before. Do you know like the old drone displays, the Chinese drone displays? So we'll see if we can find something for that, for those that haven't seen it, yeah? Because these things, like people say, oh, maybe this is the beginning of the technology for sort of like deceiving people with the blue beam thing, right? But this is the sort of thing we're talking about that they're capable of doing now, right? This is the sort of drone technology that China's rocking with, yeah? So these are like thousands and thousands of drones that take off into the sky, right? I jump out of boxes. I nearly went into business with a guy 10 years ago doing this. And I wish I had done now, right? Because it's getting wild. The technology's moved right on. I wasn't that impressed when he gave me a demo. He wanted me to help with the development of it. And I was like, And now look at it, I'm like, ah, shucks. You know, it is. But check it out, man. This is proper ting. All these dots, hold on. Pawsy poos. These dots are lit. Each one of these is a drone, to the point where, like, these are the drones have RGB LEDs on, a red, green, blue, meaning you can do every color in the spectrum, including white if you shine all three together, right? And so, you know, you can make essentially, with each drone being a pixel in the TV screen, if you imagine that, right? And with each drone LED illumination being able to be any color, and it's in real time, and they're all mesh networked with a proprietary Bluetooth type communication, if you imagine, right? So all the drones are communicating with each other real time, along with the ground base station that conducts the orchestra of drones, and to the point where the LED lights of them can change and turn on and off and change color. So you can literally make like a TV screen showing stuff happening on a screen. I mean, this is crazy technology, and it's only just begun. Look at it. This isn't fake. This is lich. Right? So people talk about blue beam technology and that, right? You know, they're writing and stuff. So these drones aren't flying around that fast. They're just staying there in a sheet of pixels, and then obviously like a remote like a remote aerial TV on steroids, right? And fentanyl at the same time. Let me know your thoughts in the chat what the Chinese drone tech's doing right now. But this is a good idea, swarm technology, right? It's a similar thing as what I'm trying to describe to you. This is another form of military drone, is the swarm drones, and these things act together to overwhelm defenses, overwhelm things like the S400, S600 defense systems and stuff. And by doing that, by sending swarms of drones in, it's just like, whoa, right? You just completely overwhelm defenses. And then while that's going on, you're sending your proper Reapers and your proper big boys in there dropping the big guns, right? Is the idea with that. But I'm interested to see your pink mist. Oh, dear, it's great to have you with us. Thank you. UK Owen Prepper is with us as well. What an absolute superstar. Thank you so much for your support of this channel as well, UK Owen Prepper. Looking forward to getting you on as a proper guest. I'd like you to be my first official guest. I really appreciate you having me on your show as a guest. And I really got to start doing some collabs, and I really enjoy getting other people involved and being a collective of knowledge rather than just individual. It's all about how it all comes together, how we combine our knowledge together as a force multiplier for this wolf pack we've built here so proudly to 1,000 plus. So this is the place to be, the Discord community server for Sigma Prepper, because this is where all the action happens. You've got the whole knowledge base here, all the prepping intel. You've also got the SHTF intel with what's going on in the world, split into global conflict here. So if anyone's got any videos or things they come across or news reports that are relevant for the World War and the global conflict coming, you've got a whole section of the SHTF intel for that global conflict. Keep us updated. You've got breaking news as well in here for things that are urgent, things that are happening, things we need to take note of. Please do take advantage of this. It took me a long time, a lot of effort, and no one paid me to build this. So please, it was a big investment for me to, and it's been a big investment for everybody who's been helping to make it what it is, just littered with information for everyone, and couldn't have done it without you. So thank you for making it what it's become, the most ultimate Discord prepping and survival place to be. Please, links in description. Also, the only way these videos and the only way this channel has grown is because YouTube doesn't promote me ever. Then the only way really to get this channel out is to share it with your friends and family. I try and make this channel to be as mainstream as possible, so it makes it much more comfortable for people to share my videos without cringing, going, oh, they're going to think I'm crazy, by then knowing I watch this guy. I try my best to try and not be, well, you know how I am, right? The whole point is so that we can be shareable. We can invite people in who maybe aren't really into, but have a sense of urgency and now start to understand the way the global conflict is kicking off and how it could do here in the West for us and other places in the world. And I'd really love this to be a great resource for us to be able to come to. And as long as people like Della are doing things like this, I'm going to be able to keep going from my end. And your help is much appreciated as well. Swarm is numbers. Oops. Wrong button. Sorry. Thank you so very much, Della. What a beautiful shade of yellow. Yeah. Proper rollable sheets. Not to suggest unrollable sheets. Non-rollable sheets isn't proper sheets, but Swarm is numbers over mentality. Overwhelmed by saturation. Okay, it's Christmassy time. Your hard work and more is appreciated. Merry, merry. Happy Christmas, my beautiful one. Sigma's hat is just for you tonight, Della. Sigma's Christmas hat is today. We've started the Christmas festive season here on the Sig Prepper channel. Always denoted by when his Santa hat goes on. And our son, who we're very proud of, who's just been promoted to Lance Corporal at the age of 16 years old, and 2-star cadet. So he's done super cool, and woke up the other day and he was already there putting a Christmas tree up by himself. Got it out of the attic, got all the lights on. I'm like, easy, Tiger. Save some for the rest of us. Do you know what I mean? But what a dude, and it's set up beautifully. And let me say, it looks much better than the London Christmas tree. Oh, another thing, I'm going to London to visit the Queen. Not anymore. To visit the King. Not anymore. I'm going to London on next week, Monday. So you're coming with me, basically. Yeah, it's going to be a little adventure of ours to see if we can urban survival adventure Monday. Be there, right? We're doing urban survival. Can we make it through London for the day without A, being maced, B, being tased, C, being phone snatched, or D, anything else other than that? So that's the plan. So join us on Monday. I'll try and go live a few times with you for our urban survival adventure. That should be fun. Willed Medic there. Look, great to have you with us in the chat, my man. Thank you so very much for your information. S-400 counter cruise missile and drones. S-500 counter ballistic missiles. Thanks for that. Right, so the S-400 is what I'm talking about. Yeah, nice one. Thank you for that. Hugo and I aren't invited. No, just me and Sigma Prepper Jr. are going. Frequencies and their use and interconnectedness, very deep conversation, lots of facts and figures. Like it. Amphi's with us as well. Well beyond the old-fashioned 50 cal anti-material hull pusher to take out 100 million fast jet on the airfield. Yep. Great chat going on in there. Thank you, everybody. Let me just quickly like and love that one. Thank you to everyone for liking and loving people's generous contributions, helping to keep the lights on and the internet connected. And all the time I can fund this, I'm able to do my work on the survival gear products that I'm bringing to market, including some crazy stuff you're not going to get from anywhere else. Let me just say that, and to get my book written as well. So thank you to everyone helping that happen. So we got a few other things I just want to touch on briefly when it comes to the capabilities of drones, because when we talk about the capability of drone warfare and some of the things to look out for, these are the ways that you can start thinking through in your own mind as to some of the ways that can protect and you can prepare against. Right now, something that came up earlier with was it Pat? Was it you, Pat, or Ian Palmer? Forgive my memory. Who mentioned about the how to defeat thermal? And this is, I was chatting to my mate about it, and essentially I was thinking you would use like a Mylar reflective silver emergency blanket, right, for thermal cameras. But when you do that, right, it just looks like a white square sheet. It sticks out big time. Whereas if you have an umbrella in front of you, yeah, or an umbrella, the thermal can't penetrate the umbrella, and since the umbrella is just the same as the ambient temperature, just a normal material umbrella, it makes it far more easy to hide behind just a normal sheet of material that separates you Yeah, you don't want it touching you because it's going to warm up to your temperature and show a differential. So there are ways to protect against thermal, but there's lots of things when it comes to the surveillance and reconnaissance. You know, we looked at the ISR drones, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance drones, right? Now, these are potentially, like, to let you into a few little secrets, like, these things have got, like, super high resolution cameras. You know, these are things that have got, like, LiDAR and mapping. So you've got things like the laser mapping for topology. They can measure the ground and they can detect if things have changed and stuff like this. But one of the things as well is the SAR. I'll have to look that up in a minute off the top of my head. But the other thing is precision strikes is another thing. So as well as this reconnaissance surveillance, as I say, you've got more the combat type vehicles that have got munitions. These are the things with like laser guided missiles and things that just drop from like smaller drones, and you know, those loitering munitions we talked about where they sort of buzz around loitering, and then when they see their target, Obama was known for setting it up as the cell phone. So everyone's cell phone has got its own sort of like MAC address, if you like, on the network, so you can identify someone by their phone. And so America's got technology where the drone will seek the target is the phone, and so they just assume that the dude or dudette or dude in betweener, whatever they are, is the one holding their phone. So then the drone goes in. It's like these loitering munition drones will go in on the phone that the dude's got, right? It's not 100% cert, you know what I mean, that he's going to have it. He might have given it to his young daughter to go to school with. That happened a lot, which is why Obama was in a lot of trouble for that, right? But these are the sort of things that they can use as the way they target stuff. It can be an individual. And so the point is that if you happen to be driving or sitting in a traffic jam while matey boy, who's being targeted by matey boy with the loitering munitions, you know, you're just going to be collateral damage at that point. So, cheers everyone. Thank you for being with us. I know this is a long one, but I have to be, because I don't feel like I've wasted too much time talking about stuff that isn't to do with surviving World War III tonight, but cheers everyone. Love, peace and progress to the pack. It's longer than I thought it was going to be, but we can get through these. How many we got? I don't even know. Like, not many. A couple of more things to get through for. A couple more to get through. So electronic warfare is a big one with drones, because these are things like I showed you with the GPS jamming. Yeah, so the GPS jamming technology, a lot of this is done by drones because it has to be... The way GPS jamming works is you're essentially... GPS works on a particular frequency, right? I think is it 1.2 gigahertz or something, but typical GPS frequency is about... Yeah, 1500, 1.5, 1.2 gigahertz. L2 is 1.2 gigahertz. So yeah, so basically 1.2 gigahertz is the frequency that the satellite module is trying to receive. So you've got to imagine there's a tiny GPS module, and what it's trying to do is listen to multiple satellites that are in space at the time. Yeah. And is listening for the pings that come down. Then it measures the time it took for the ping to get from the satellite to the thing, the GPS receiver, right? And it triangulates. It uses trigonometry to triangulate with 7 or more, ideally, satellites. It can work out where it is, both in altitude terms and in latitude and longitude, right? So the GPS receiver, all it's trying to do is to listen to something that's about the size of a tiny car that's 26,000 miles away. So you can imagine the signal's quite weak. So what these GPS jamming things do is essentially what they do is they have things like these loitering, like jamming drones, right? And they loiter around here, and they've got just like one of them satellite dishes we saw on them vans. It will have one of them just beaming out fake GPS coordinates, right? It will be beaming out fake GPS satellite stuff, data, right? They're essentially like serial. They're like there's quite a lot of data contained in it, in the packet that comes from each satellite. And so by blasting out at a much the same frequency as the satellites are transmitted on, but blurting it out really high gain GPS signal, you can basically blur out. It's a little bit like you sitting next to your friend trying to have a conversation quietly, and then someone puts like the biggest sound system on in the room that you've ever heard, and all of a sudden you two can't hear each other talk, right? This is what's happening with the satellites, because the drone jamming thing is just going whoa with GPS data, and it just doesn't know what's going on. And it's like whoa, and it falls out of the sky, just like the UK British missiles did when they tried firing them into Russia. It took them 2 weeks to figure out our GPS jamming codes, and they got it sussed. So now we can't get in there with anything because all of our technology and America's technology is redundant. Russia's way ahead of the game when it comes to jamming and stuff, right? And fifth dimensional warfare tactics, which includes like cyber and stuff. Don't forget, we're going to be working our way through all of the, all of the different warfare tactics one by one as weeks go by for the Warzone Wednesday. Wear your onesies or your bedroom attire. Got to be comfy while talking about uncomfy topics. So all of these warfare tactics we are going to be breaking down one by one. If you missed it earlier in the show, we went going through the slides. So the fourth dimensional warfare tactics with all of these, we will be breaking down each and every one of these because all of these are important, right? Fifth dimensional warfare tactics, these are the sorts of things that are including the AI, the cyber, the psychological warfare, right? Your weather wars, your seismic wars. Don't ask me what that is. Work it out. Cultural warfare, right? All this stuff. Electromagnetic warfare, which is part of that jamming technology and things we see from these drones, right? So, it's a big, it's a big problem, right? And it's going to become bigger because the next World War III, believe me, is going to be fought more by drones and autonomous tech than it is anything else. I mean, the development in, robotic technology as per what would be considered usable by the military is things like this, right? This is a Chinese robot, which is like a variation on the Boston Dynamics dog. And you'll see here they've added wheels, so it's got speed as well as agility and terrain management. Look, incredible stuff. As a robotic engineer, believe me, the kinematic mathematics, right, is astounding in this thing. I wish people could appreciate the sheer complexity of code and actuators that's going on here. Believe me, it's incredible stuff, right? This is really taking things to a whole new level. Not just what China's up to, but just generally, we're really getting there, guys. And it's scary stuff because these things are going to be chasing us around the woods. We were thinking we could bug out into the woods and the robots wouldn't be following. Right? Not only are they going to be following, they're going to be following at speed and in style. Look at this thing. Do you get an idea what I'm trying to explain to you about what we got rocking? Right? Because whatever they're developing, whatever rush and sense of urgency that, Elon Musk have to try and launch their Optimus robot and the Nexus or whatever it is, the Microsoft or OpenAI version is it? But some of these robotics are really getting there, and of course the minute we start getting to the point where these things can start rocking about carrying an AK and an RPG and rocking with gang signs, yeah, we're in a whole heap of trouble now, boy. We're in a whole heap of trouble now, boy. Cheers, everyone. Scary stuff, right? because what's going to end up coming of the next conflict is going to be all of this technology just, like I say, on steroids, right? And there's so many different variations of these sorts of, like, you know, military things they're working on. We just don't know what we're going to see, right? Because with things like this, this is fourth and fifth dimensional warfare, right? Because these are autonomous things. They carry stuff there. They're strategic use. This opens up so much. Look at this thing. If you see, look, when you see it here, hold on. Well, first, you see the way it hides. You can hide in the water and then just pop up. This is what I'm saying. Watch. So it can be buried under the water, so you can't even see it, look. This is it. Swimming about, right? Oh, it's bad news, right? You're not gonna be safe. You're not gonna be safe on the lake, because they'll come get you. You're not gonna be safe in your cave up in the woodland, because they're gonna come and get you, right? And the thing is that, you know, these things, the minute they start putting these things on these things, and they're just walking about like, do you really want these things walking around airports and around the streets and stuff? Because you can tell this is where it's headed. Look at it. I just wouldn't want it even, just even having that thing pointing at me would make me uneasy. You know what I mean? This is like the Boston Dynamics. I think this is the Chinese version, though. The one that's the Chinese version, the one we saw with the wheels, just sans wheels, basically. Right. I mean, some drones. Thank you, everyone, for being live in the chat. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. Oh, look, tucked by V1. Great to see you. Good to see you. Who else have I missed coming in the chat in the back door while I wasn't looking? All right, nighty night, my darling one. Thank you again for being the firstest ever person to do a super chat on the Sigma Prepper channel in the whole wide world. Love you, honey. And thanks for the haircut earlier on. Yeah. Oh, dear. Will Medic in there, look. Sorry, I'm only just going through the chat. I'm guessing that was when we were talking about GPS chatting. Oh, I'm way back. I do apologise. And the reason I like to do these live is for people like, you know, Will Medic and other people who have various experience in various different types of warfare, as we'll be going through week by week. So, as the weeks go by, we'll have people in the chat that know things about other things as well. Don't buy a page, says Ian Palmer. Classic. Classic. Yeah. Don't even go there, right? Under a thick tree. Now, you see, things like the SAR. We need to talk about the SAR stuff, because these are the... I'm trying to see if I can find it somewhere on Google, because I can't even remember what it stands for. SAR. Sorry. It's like radar. Now, essentially, this is something that came out a while ago, and what it is, right? I'm just going to have to explain it to you because I can't I can't find it. I used to warn people about this a long time ago when the technology was first released, right? And basically, the SAR, I don't know why I can't find it. Hold on. Is this it? Multiple SAR. Examples of SAR. Why can't I find just what it is? So synthetic aperture radar. I said it. I told you it's something radar. Bloody hell. The drone that I was working with the big project on, that was an SAR based module. Now the thing about these things, right, is they're like radar, but they can measure extremely detailed stuff, right? And like optical cameras, you can see through smoke and debris because it's like a radar, not a vision, right? And that includes things like treetops, yeah, if it's tuned right. And so the thing about these, they're so accurate that they're using them to see where new wires have been put, right? So, for example, if you imagine, this is a big thing as to what, this is a big thing that is used for, drones are used for, right? Which is doing SAR mapping. And SAR mapping is what governments use, right? Oh, sorry. It's not letting me just get into Earth. So let's just zoom in anywhere randomly. I've got no idea where we are, right? I've got to clear all this stuff off. It's obviously the first time I've ever opened it on here. On this particular browser window. Oh, sorry. What's that about? Don't know what that was about. Oh, yeah, I just reload the window. That was why. Nighty night, Mikey Poos. Sorry. Let's get rid of that quickly. Right. Sorry about that. Got there in the end. So let's say, for example, this is a really bad image, satellite image, right? But for example, let's say that this person here, right? What governments do and military and things like the intelligence services is they have satellites to track SAR, right? Synthetic aperture radar, which is so accurate that if you were to run a cable across here, yeah, if you were to run a cable, right, from there, let's say you ran a cable from here to there, right? Because you put a new antenna or you put a new antenna on your roof here, right? Lich, right, you have a before, they take a before satellite image, a couple of weeks later they'll take an after one. They can use drones as well equipped with SAR, yeah, the synthetic aperture radar. And they can, it's so accurate from, it's like 3D mapping. It literally knows if you've put a new wire there. So the AI systems will look at the before and the after satellite imagery or the SAR imagery from the drone that it's been doing reconnaissance, right? And it can literally compare and say, hold on a minute, there's a new antenna there. Hold on a minute, there's a new bit of, do you know, if you were to walk through if you walk through a cornfield a couple of times, or even once, right? When you look at the before anyone's walked through the cornfield image, and you look at the after someone's walked through the grass or cornfield image, you're going to see a track, do you know what I mean? Because it's sort of trampled down the corner. And the AI will see the difference and say, ah, there's a new track here. Ah, there's a new antenna been put up here. Ah, there's a new wire going here, right? And then so they can just look and say, oh man, what's going on here? Maybe there's an IED or something that's there because there's a new wire there. It's been dug up and it's seen it because there's a mound there now. Or, you know, this is how governments know if you haven't got planning permission on an outbuilding, because they just like, it will just flag up and say, hold on a minute, this person's just had a conservatory or they just had an extension put on their house and haven't told us. Whoop, whoop. So if you wonder how you get a letter through the post within about 2 weeks, that's why, right? This is the kind of stuff they're up to, believe me, right? So avoiding drone tech is really difficult. Right, apart from physical concealment, obviously, right? But you have got things like there's certain camouflage and decoys, like natural terrain, ghillie suits and things, but they're not going to protect you from thermal, right? You can have reflective materials that can do things, but you've got to be careful with it, because if that reflective material itself isn't ambient temperature, it's going to show up just as a one big square thermal signature, right? But of course, underground and subterranean, you know, bunkers and things is your best bet. Just not going out. That's the whole point of homesteading, as long as you can. Bugging out's going to be a problem. This is my point. In a wartime situation, when you see what it's like in Russia and Ukraine, what's going on there, when you see the environment that people are in, and just being in the wildlife, being in the woods and having these drones buzzing over your head, and whether they got thermal or not, it's just really difficult. I mean, again, with the thermal, even using smoke screens is tricky, right? That doesn't guarantee. So the other thing as well is you need to consider things like, you know, as well as the heat signature suppression. We did talk about that with the umbrellas, you know, like using an umbrella, but you just need a sheet of material between you and, you know, between the thermal sensor and you, not touching you, but away from you, so that your radiant heat doesn't heat that sheet up. And that will work. But yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, we talked earlier again, didn't we, about, you know, how some of these drones will target electronic signals, you know, like antenna signals. So if you're on ham radios all the time, sometimes the military drones can be trying to seek out radio communications and target communications. So you don't want to be, this is why I always say with your ham radios, right, with your Baofeng ham radios, you can set them to be low transmission or high transmission power. There's no benefit to having on high transmission power if all you're using it for is to communicate with the people in your immediate vicinity, in your house, and your immediate neighbors. The minute you start beaming high power for the sake of it, you're drawing attention from all of those sorts of things we've just been talking about. You're also draining your battery far quicker, because to transmit 10 watts takes more power than transmitting 1 watt, a tenth of it, right? As a clue. So you can 10x reduce your power drain during transmit. So you're better off having targeted antennas, as I've said before. This is why you're better off having point-to-point targeted antennas, high gain antennas you'd call them, and having low transmission power than you would just blasting out omnidirectional to anyone who wants to hear, right? So these are the things that you have to consider, because, you know, your electronic and RF signature can be as much of a giveaway as your heat signature for thermal. Do you see? So, you know, you could say, and as well, you know, oh, we can move at night. You can move at night. You know, the infrared, FLIR, things like that aren't going to help you particularly. So really, unless you've got things like I said, I can use mine to take down drones in terms of with the Yagi antennas. You can, you know, it's like jamming drones is the only defense from it, which most of the military spec ones have got anti-jamming devices and redundancy systems and stuff like that, right? And return to home contingencies, autonomous, assuming it's not disrupting the GPS jamming, right? You know, and there's things like those. I don't know if you've seen those, like nets, the drone nets, right? And the net sort of wraps around the drones and stuff. And EMP type things, you know, you can get quite elaborate in ways that you can handle drone tech in terms of preparing against it. But as you've probably worked out already from some of the things I've been listing, these aren't cheap things and they're quite specialized things. So this is why, to be honest, I do think the best option really when it comes to drone warfare is to just be staying out of dodge, because these fifth dimensional warfare tactics aren't something you're going to be avoiding lightly, right? And the drone tech is something that is going to be a massive threat to us, and whatever new technology spawns from the development going into drones and autonomous systems right now from the military, whenever there's a conflict glooming in the background and looming, right? This is where the most you know, severe breakthroughs come in military technology. And you know, the military technology ends up becoming the stuff that the police on the street are using and the government are using, and law enforcement and things particularly generally, right? So, and the drone warfare is something that, believe me, is going to become more and more part of everyday life on the citizens when it comes to just about every aspect of life. We've already got the Amazon delivery drones, you know, You'll have police reconnaissance drones. I mean, just recently, for example, there was an instance of a property that had a I'll see if I can find it for you, because I love you. This one. We're looking for audio levels. We're all right. So check this out, right? This is in the UK. This is in the UK. Check this out. This is, boom. Do you see that house? This is a house, like, gas explosion. Right. Bosh. No messing about, right? I wanted to show you that earlier. And it completely wiped out. This is, again, the sort of chaos and things that happen. And this is, again, where drones are used, you see, what I wanted to show you. You know, fire crews are already using drones to be inspecting and with thermal cameras to see where the heat source is, if they've put it out or not, right? Police are using it, insurance companies are using them to assess damage, right? These aren't going anywhere, they're just going to become more and more seen, right? So this has been a long show. I didn't really mean for it to be. That was near me, says K. Yeah, Ilford. Yeah, that's the one, Chaos. Oh, man. So that must have been all over your news today then. Was it yesterday, last night, was it? We'll soon be able to ignite ordnance and drones with high-powered lasers. That's another thing as well, the laser thing, right? DSEC UK, great to see you. Thanks for being with us. Please do hit the like button if you haven't done already. It really does, believe it or not, it does do something. It does help the channel. And again, because YouTube never puts me out to anyone, the only way to help me grow is to share this video on your social media, get your friends involved. You've got other friends who are into survival prepping, a little bit worried about what's going on with a global conflict, and you think I might be the sort of guy that can help them ease into the idea of we need to act now, we're running out of time, and you know, it's just time to be serious about what's going on around the world, and it's not going away, right? So we've got a live poll running tonight. We've had 89 votes, which is really, really good turnout. So thank you to everyone who's voted in live polls. An interesting one. We're going to call it now because we've got an after party in the Discord server. So the after party is where we get to chat live to each other, voice, with the public, the wolf pack over there. So let's pop over there now. This is the Discord server. The link's in the description of this video below. So final poll results is boom. So I asked, you voted. This is how it ended up. What do you believe the recent drone/UAP sightings really are? Either USA military drones, which wins it, foreign enemy drones, or alien/extraterrestrial. So it was a good split there, 46. It's pretty even for about the first half hour of the show. It was 50-50, I think. So thank you to everybody who's voted in that. 45%. So we're thinking it's probably more than Western, probably more than likely Western USA sneaky drones. And we got to start discerning what we think the purpose of that is. What's the purpose of all the news stories out there with the UAPs, the unmanned aerial phenomenon with the flashing lights, the spaceships in the sky, whatever they are. Why are they doing that? Why are they making it a congressional hearing with the FBI? They clearly want us to know about this. They clearly want us to look to the skies. Why is that? It's because they don't want us looking down at something else that's supposed to be going on that we're distracted from? Or is this a lead up to something bigger, leading into 2025 with all sorts of speculation that's already been happening about what, you know, what our future is going to potentially spell with the global conflict that seems to be looming. But yeah, so let me know in the comment section below. Let me know in the live chat as well how you've received tonight's SHTF Scenarios. Warzone Wednesday. Today we were specialising in drone warfare. Let me know if you feel like we've covered a lot of stuff tonight. I'm sorry it was a little bit discombobulated. I didn't have as much time to do my usual typical full slideshow presentation I would like to do as I'd intended. But as the weeks go on, don't forget, we've got all of these different drone, all these different warfare tactics to go through as the weeks go by, with the 4th dimensional warfare tactics as well. We can talk about this over on the Discord server, so if there's certain things that people want to get into more sooner rather than later, if things aren't going on in the news like they were today, then again, we will do that in that order. So we're going to be going and having an after party, don't forget. It's been the Warzone Wednesday, How to Survive World War 3. You can join us over on the Discord. This is the after party here, Discord server. I notice there's been a new joiner. Thank you to Runga. Let's give you some Wolfpack love. Bosh, we are iconed up. Thank you to you for joining us over on the Discord server. We're going to be here in the after party, right? So give us about 5 minutes after the show ends and you'll see me pop in there. I'm going to be in, we're going to have a, yeah. And then it will be in the circus tent. I've got to be in the circus tent for 5 minutes, and then I'll be straight into the after party. So go and make yourself comfortable over there, and I'll be with you shortly once I've got my tea brewed. Yeah, that's the idea of that. So thank you to those that have joined us. I hope you've. Let's see what you're saying about it. Thank you, Q. Good info as ever, my man. Cheers, my man. Thank you, Pat Riot. Thank you again for being a VIP patron. We should probably start from up here somewhere. Darwin presents. They have small lasers too. It's not all ship-based systems. Yeah, wasn't in the Navy, says Darkwoods. Thank you, Daily Survival, keeping the links flowing for the Discord server. Thank you, Daily Survival, really appreciate it. Much love, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you, Miss Worm. Very similar background to your dad, Darkwoods. Is it? Another awesome show, Drew. Thank you, Robert. Thank you for your generosity tonight, Robert. I really appreciate everybody who super chatted. Thank you to Sandy as well for your super chat tonight. And of course, Della being absolute major babe. Plus, Robert McNamara. What a wonderful part of the Wolfpack family he is as well. What can I tell you? You've all been absolutely wonderful. So we've got lots of things coming up. I think tomorrow I might be doing live in the lab. I still need to get my Chinese diesel heater serviced, and I need to show you how to do it and all the little funky bits with the Chinese diesel heater. It's that time of year. Loads more coming up as well. Also need to do a video tomorrow of the thing that I've made our Sandy. I made her part of my ultimate e-harvesting kit. Is similar to this, but I've made her a little custom thing here. She's got an electric scooter, electric disability scooter, so I've made a custom plug socket with some silicon cable and a car cigarette lighter socket and a USB-C and QC USB, plus a car cigarette lighter socket to run from her electric mobility scooter, so she can harvest the energy out of that if the grid goes down. Because those are big old batteries in there. You'd be surprised how many times you can recharge your flashlight and your mobile phone and your smartphone from your electric mobility scooter. And let's face it, if the grid's gone down, I don't think you want to be going out of the house on your mobility scooter. So you might as well use that full battery on something useful. So I'll do a short video tomorrow just showing you what I've done there, how it can be used, what it's for and who it's for. And then I can get that put in the post for us, Andy. And I'll take some photos. So if somebody wants something similar for their version of mobility scooter, we can maybe do something for that as part of the ultimate e-harvesting kit from Sigma Prepper, another one of my products. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. That's what will be coming tomorrow, as well as, like I say, either a live in the lab or a campfire catch-up or something with guests ideally. So we might have UK Urban Prepper, good friend of ours, on tomorrow, and depending on what he's doing on his show, we'll figure it out. But either way, it's been a fabulous night. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you all here. Thank you for all the super chats for our very first night monetized here on the Sigma Prepper channel. All because of you. Couldn't have done it without you. And don't forget, we're going into the after party in just 5 minutes time. So don't go anywhere apart from there, because it would just be rude if you did anything else. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't done already. I've been Drew the Sigma Prepper. You've been absolute wonderful bunch and patient with me during this presentation. Love, peace and progress. To the pack.
Reject the herd, prepare the pack. Click the like button, it's as easy as that. Check the description for the links you need. Follow my socials, subscribe to my feed. From a single lone woman to a family of 5. Learn from Sigma Prepper and see how you can thrive. We understand the risks that tomorrow could bring. We adapt and survive, it's a wolf pack thing. Reject the herd, prepare the pack. Click the like button, it's as easy as that. Check the description for the links you need. Follow my socials, subscribe to my feed.